The following is a presentation of the BellyUpSports Media Network.
The ball sends it over to Edward Robles. Goal! Insert name FC! Let's go! Insert name FC! Alright guys, what's up everybody? My name is Dr. Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the BellyUpSports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast fix. You'll find us there at Insert Name FC. The full video version of this podcast is available on BellyUp's YouTube channel. You can also find the blog over on BellyUpSports.com and also available on GolzTV, GOZ.TV. That's where you can also find the full video episode. And if you guys check out our YouTube channel at Insert Name FC, you'll see these full episodes broken down into shorter videos, so it's easier to digest. So those are also, and those shorter videos are also available on GolzTV. So those tons of ways you can find us as far as the podcast goes. And follow us on social media on Instagram and the X at Insert Name FC, Facebook as well at Insert Name FC. I would say TikTok only, but right now the only reason why I'm saying that is just because I haven't really had much time to actually make full on reels and TikTok videos, so I just haven't had the time to do it. But whenever I can start reassessing my whole time schedule, my daily schedule, I'll start figuring that out, and then I'll start promoting again those TikTok again. But yeah, so episode 203, which is kind of funny because 203 is actually the number for my unit that I was in the U.S. Marine Corps. So I was in a training squadron called VMAT 203. For some of you guys that are probably that didn't know I served in the military, probably because of my weight. But yeah, I served 5 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. I was in the aviation sector, and the aircraft that I worked specifically with was the Aviate Harrier jet. So just thought it was interesting that 203, that we're at this number. So just a little weird reflection. But anyways, this episode we do have headlines. We'll be talking about Greenland. Apparently Greenland is trying to get more legitimate in the football sphere, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Some stuff that's going on with Borussia Dortmund as far as their managerial things, and a rumor that went bananas. Just a rumor, but it did involve Carlo Ancelotti. So we'll see. We'll talk about that as well. We have Jose Tejas from GolzTV coming on as well. He's gonna talk about a little bit of a new thing that MLS is doing, kind of a certain, I guess, a drive to survive, if you will, with this year before for MLS. So we'll talk about that. But also recap Camp Cupcake. So Jose's here to also talk about that as well. And then we'll give you guys players of the week, give you guys some games to watch this weekend. And yeah, pretty straightforward episode. So with all that being said, man, make sure you guys sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 203. Let me tell you guys about BellyUpSports. BellyUpSports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. BellyUpSports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys, we're back with more headlines to talk about. I'm not gonna lie, kind of a slow day. And of course, it is now the every other episode, and Edward's back to come and talk more football. So, Edward, glad to have you back again.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yeah, man. So before we get into headlines, obviously because there's a rumor coming around involving the MLS, and obviously if you guys know it's Edward because of a certain image that's to my side. Um, uh, so I mean we gotta talk about your guy, bro.
Oh yeah, that too. That
Timo Werner potentially coming to the MLS. Um,
I mean, maybe he might do a hat trick then.
Bro, I don't know. I don't how tell like I don't know if that would be a great thing for the league or a terrible thing for the league for a guy that's struggling in the Prem to come in and then just become like the MVP
The
of him.
max goal scorer,
Bro, that would I think that would actually be a bad reflection of the league.
that would really be.
Like, I mean, if the I
'Cause
mean, I'm
he
getting
could
already
what
enough.
was it? He couldn't do anything much at Red Bulls. No wait, no, what? Yeah, Red Bulls, right? Or
That's where he came.
Leverkusen.
That's where he came from.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, he went back to Red Bulls, didn't he?
Yeah, so I mean, at least
Like
when
on
we when
loan,
we
on
first
loan.
when we first knew of Timo Werner.
Yeah.
It was for RB Leipzig. He had a lot of potential. I think that's when he was starting to get called up by Germany as well. And then not like a starter or anything like that, but was playing for Germany. And then that's when he moved to Chelsea. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is a great signing." Uh, to this day, I have no idea what his position is. Like I thought he was a striker, but then Chelsea played him on the wing, so I was like, "Okay, I don't know anything." Um, and then he just wasn't playing. Like I don't think he ended up living up to the hype. Don't really know what it was, to be honest with you. Like but I think it's just one of those tales that we always hear, we overhype a player and then um maybe that whole, big fish in the small pond, and then they go to a big pond and they realize they're not that good of a fish.
Yeah.
Um and then obviously they send him back to RB Leipzig because it just wasn't working out. Looked like he was getting back in form. At least from when I think like the first game he scored a goal or something. It was like a banger of a goal too. I can't remember now. I know he scored a goal, and I think everyone was happy about it. At least there was that. But then Tottenham came reached out for him to bring him in on loan. So he came on loan. I don't think anything significant happened on that loan, but apparently when they said, hey, you know what, he's pretty good. Let's just bring him back. So they did that, and can't really tell you if he scored a goal. I forgot that he even existed at some point. But yeah, so yeah, I think he's just one of those a kid that everyone thought had high potential, um, and unfortunately just didn't pan out, which happens very frequently, not only in football, but like it just in sports in general.
Yeah.
I think that happens all the time. Um, but yeah, so Timo, and obviously in this podcast, I think Timo Werner has like a very special place in our lore because of um of
Gee, I wonder who.
a fun little show called Unhinged FC that we
Oh
did
man, yeah.
back in our Unhinged days, and I think it was just one of those prime lack of sleep Edward moments where Edward's always viewed Timo Werner highly. Like he was like he kind of being very optimistic for him. Like he's gonna get it together, guys. He's gonna be fine. Like it's not the end of the world or anything like that. And then so we were previewing, I believe it was Chelsea versus Porto. I think that was the
Oh
match.
yeah.
And you mentioned Timo Werner because you were gonna mention him because he plays for
Hmm.
Chelsea. And you said, hey, in this game he could score 5 goals. He didn't say he will. I know. Maybe you did say he will score 5 goals. Or no, I think he said he could. I don't think you said he will. You said he could. And so we were like, oh wow, this the hype is real. And your first leg prediction, I think, was like a 0-0
Yeah, I think it
for
was.
0-0, and then obviously then we started roasting you about okay, I guess Timo Werner is just gonna score 5 goals in the second leg. Um, which I mean, to be fair, Edward didn't say he will score 5 goals. Edward said he could
He
score,
could score 5 goals.
but obviously, words are
Yeah,
gonna come back at you. It just happens like that. But
I can't come back from it.
hey, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It happens to everybody. And it literally happens to everybody. I remember seeing a clip of a podcast. I think it's called No Ratings, and they were talking about how Jurgen Klopp wasn't as good as we think he was, and I was like, that this is wow. I didn't. I was like, I thought I said some dumb things. Uh, that
This will forever go into one of those bonk moments because it's like I feel like it was just more of like really having some high hopes for this dude, and yeah, it didn't pan out.
yeah, and I mean, so for people to understand Edward a little bit, Edward's not necessarily the highest person on MLS. Um, I don't think he. Okay, and Edward at some point, maybe tell me what you think, but I don't think Edward thinks the league is shit.
No, you're right. They got potential because I mean you got to think about it like all the the American players or even Venezuelan players, Mexican players, Canadian players that play here in the MLS in the US, they get shipped overseas when they show the potential, whether they're young, whether they're like mid, whatever.
Like
So
the reason why I
I
say
don't.
that is because I don't think Edward, like when me and Edward have gone to like Dynamo matches, I don't think Edward's ever been bored. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've actually no, I've actually stayed and I've even been like, come on, like everybody and the ambiance, the crowd, everything. Like it was really good. The league. Okay, the league is not shit. It's just I have a very high comparison to it when I want to compare it to EPL, La Liga.
Which I
Like
mean,
so.
that's super fair. Like that's literally comparing the education of Harvard to Arizona State. Like I mean, it's just not it's
It's
just
it's
not
just an
fair.
example. Anybody from Arizona State listening, it's just an example. Okay?
The
Just an
Arizona
example.
State put the bong down for 1 minute and hear what we just have to say. But I mean, but obviously, we all know about Arizona State. At least some people do. Um, the party school. But like that's what I'm saying. Like I mean, and it sounds so awful that I'm comparing Arizona State to MLS.
Shout out to Arizona State.
Hey,
Yoo.
MLS is the party league. That's what we're gonna go off of. But uh,
Oh
this,
God.
this is gonna
It,
do so
look, let me
well.
tell you, this is bad. So if this was the case, I'm gonna tell you this. If this was the case, you would have seen Robinho here, you would have seen Ronaldinho here, you would have seen Roberto Carlos, you seen R9 here, you would have seen them dudes coming over
Michael
here.
Gonzalez,
Oh God, Mágico Gonzalez, yeah, he would have been.
Maradona. I mean,
Oh
we've heard
man.
stories about those guys partying, and so
Yeah, yeah, we have, and it's been some crazy stuff that we've heard. But anyways, going back to it, going back.
Ronaldinho has two wives, right? I know. I think that was like a story at some point.
Ah,
I
don't
don't. I
don't
don't know.
know.
I don't know. Anyways, so Edward's not really like. It's not that he doesn't like MLS. He's just not that high on MLS. Um, do I think? I think also in some sense, I don't think Edward would have wanted to be like, oh, okay, Messi's here now. Let me hop on the Miami bandwagon. I don't think Edward's that kind of guy. Because I
Nope.
mean, I,
I'm a Messi fan. I'm a Messi fan.
correct
I
me if I'm
love
wrong.
watching
It's
him
not like
play.
you hopped on the PSG bandwagon when Messi joined PSG either.
Nope.
So
I
yeah,
was happy that he was playing there, and it was cool because like I think at the time well, it was like Mbappe, Messi, um,
Neymar.
Neymar, like it was pretty cool. Like it was something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's
It
crazy.
was it's
Crazy they
kind of
really
like
didn't.
seeing it's kind of like seeing the movie, like seeing the sequel of a movie,
The thing is, like,
like
okay,
you're excited to see it, but it's not like, oh my God, it's still not better than the first one,
yeah,
kind of shenanigans.
I think it's not fair that we try to say that that was a failure, like the Messi to PSG thing was a failure because like they won the league,
Yeah,
like they still did that. They just couldn't win Champions League,
yeah.
which I mean, before Messi, they still weren't able to do that. So I mean, like, it's not one of those
Even
like,
after Messi, they can't do that.
oh yeah,
After Neymar, they can't
it,
do that.
it got
After Mbappe, they
significantly
can't do that.
worse. It got
Yeah.
significantly worse.
No, but
But
now the thing is, well, okay, this is going off a topic right now, but go ahead.
go ahead. No,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, but now, like, PSG is looking more like a team instead of just, hey, I'm gonna pass the ball to Mbappe and see what he does, kind of thing.
You went from Mbappe to now Dembele.
Well, no, the thing is now, Dembele will do the game through the wings, but then you still got Giancarlo Ramos to do it down in as a striker, you
Yeah, that's
know?
right.
And so I mean, and even then, like you still got Hakimi coming through, like from defense to go ahead and
Well, I
score a
mean,
banger. I mean,
in league unwise, I mean, they're still doing their thing. Obviously, Champions League, they kind of um, they're. I mean, there's still one game left. There's still one match left for everybody in the league stage. But I mean, we could potentially be seeing like Man City and PSG not moving on to the next round, which is would be insane.
it's insane.
But anyways, going back to the whole Timo Werner thing. So there might be an update to Timo Werner. He's linked to be going to Red Bull New York. So, which if you guys don't know, if you guys don't really know much about MLS, Red Bull New York was the team that was the loser of the MLS Cup final. So I don't really know if that's an upgrade or not just yet. But I mean, they do have Forsberg in Red Bull. There's I was gonna say Tolkien, but now Tolkien is in Germany now. He's getting his opportunity for Germany, which I'm very happy for him. I do want to see more depth in the fullback position, and so he's a guy that I have kept an eye on for some time. But yeah, so so Timo Werner, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And obviously next episode we'll also talk about anything that has happened as far as the transfer, this January transfer window because by the time this episode drops, it'll probably be concluded or near the conclusion of it as well, at least. But yeah, anything you want to say about your guy Timo, like before we
I
move on to
mean,
headlines?
look, if Timo Werner comes to MLS, I think it would be something decent for him. His prime basically happened long ago. So maybe he just needs to change a venue in order to rediscover his goal scoring opportunities. It's just is not finding it, you know what I mean? So maybe
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's just a different play style as well. He just needs to go to a different, I'm not saying a lower league, I'm just saying a different kind of league, different kind of players.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, like you could even try Italian league, you could try the Saudi league, you could try anything. But if he's coming to MLS, then by all means, go for it.
Yeah, and I think it's a good move for him because I mean I did mention Forsberg, which was a former teammate of his in when he was playing at RB Leipzig. So I think could be the right place for him. Maybe Forsberg is giving him a lot of hype and trying to get him to come to MLS as well. So there's a lot of things that could be looked forward to. But all right, let's get these headlines going, man. Um, like I said, kind of a slow day when it comes to news. I think just Champions League with the being near the end of the Champions League, at least the league phase goes, and then of course the transfer window. There's just not that much to talk about. But the first headline, and this has been a story that has been kind of going on for quite some time, but um, I don't know if you've seen their kits, Edward, but they are actually pretty sick. Which is Greenland. If you guys know anything about Greenland, it is a an island off of Europe. There's two islands actually off in Europe. That is, one is Greenland, the other one's Iceland, and um, basically what we've learned the lore of Greenland was that Greenland is all ice and Iceland is not. It's actually very nice. There's even a rhyme for it. But apparently the story is that they called the ice part the ice island Greenland to lure people that are coming trying to come in and take over their country their island. So that's why they called it Iceland, and that's why they called the technically the Greenland Iceland and the Iceland Greenland to steer away from potential I guess I don't want to say conquistadors, conquerors. I guess is the strategy. But anyways, so they are a tiny island, but they have actually been trying to get in with FIFA, trying to become an official national team in FIFA, and it really hasn't been working out. They have not been acknowledged by FIFA. They've applied multiple times with UEFA. They have actually been declined multiple times. The reason behind UEFA declining them, they said because of Denmark's technical ownership, which is kind of funny because if you guys know anything about with the U.S. right now with their current presidency, you know, the Cheeto Puff, aka Donnie T, mentioned that he is interested in attaining Greenland. um, I don't know, man. This guy just says things, and it's just kind of funny. Um, he changed the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America.
Oh man.
This is hilarious. But anyways, but apparently the logic behind UEFA declining Greenland is because of the fact that Denmark has ownership of Greenland. At least, I mean, yeah, Greenland. So,
Hmm.
which is apparently it's kind of contradictory because the Faroe Islands, who are an UEFA sanctioned national team, is also owned by Denmark, and they also play. So, uh, I don't know. I really can't tell you. I think obviously, and this is just me, Edward, but obviously, if we know about the stories of Greenland being that it is a colder country, I'm assuming that maybe it's just hard to play there because of the weather. You can't really have like a good feel because of the weather. Um, might be one of those few teams that would have to play in an indoor stadium because once again, weather.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, just from that part alone, do you think is it interesting that I didn't even realize Greenland was actually an active country? By the way, this is all just new to me. But yeah, how do you feel about Greenland? Do you think it's I feel like weather has to be the reason, right?
Yeah. I mean, if anything, so you know how like everybody has a winter break, their winter break might actually be a longer winter break
I
than
think
everybody
like
else's.
I think they're like hot. What's hot to them? Well, not probably not to them, but I mean like
Well, it's
their
considered
some
normal temp
like
there,
some yeah
yeah.
like summer weather would be like 50 degrees. I think that's
It's like basically, let's put it this way, like Colorado, sometimes they're cold and then like in the 50s and 40s, you see people rocking around in shorts.
oh man
Like they have a jacket on, but they
that
have the shorts on.
that reminds me of my equipment manager days from the Dynamo. We went to Colorado, and I remember I literally looked like the kid from A Christmas Story. Like because bro, it
Like
was
Ralphie?
yeah
Ralph?
no
No,
not
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 Ralph, not
Ralphie, Ralphie's
Ralph.
little brother.
Ralphie's brother. Yeah, Ralphie's little brother. I
Yeah,
can't
like
remember
dude,
his
I
name.
had like I had compression pants under like, and then I had my pants. I think I wore like two
Yeah.
socks. And then I had my regular training top on top of my long sleeve top on top of a parka, and then I had a beanie, but then they told me my beanie was not in regulation for the club because it had the O logo on it, so I was not allowed to wear that. So um,
Mm.
that was fun. Didn't have gloves, so that was also fun. And I'm just there, and I had to really pee, so I was waiting, and like uh
Oh God.
over on the fields, all they had was the porta potties, which is kind of funny because you're right next to the Colorado Rapids Stadium, but obviously they're not going to open the stadium
All
for an
right.
academy game. So we were waiting in line for the porta potties, and I remember me and it was one the dynamo the scout for the Dynamo Academy. We're just there waiting to go, waiting in line for the bathroom, and the guy looks at it. He's like, "Oh, you guys came here in great time. This is great weather. It was 30 degrees." And me and the scout were just looking at him like, "Oh, you don't say."
You're like contemplating on saying like, are you joking or are you just being funny or are you just
That guy definitely had to be messing with me because I was like, this is hell. I mean, this is this weather that we should be eating caldo.
all right?
But
Some pozole, some caldo.
I mean, I give props to anybody that's from a northern state. I can't handle the cold. I think one, I'm from Texas. Two, we're also Central American, so I think
Oof.
it's just in our DNA that we just are not. We're not meant for the cold.
We just don't
Um,
deal with that, basically, is what you're saying.
I mean, the state of Texas shut down went for like 20-degree weather.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that should just tell you everything about us. But yeah, I mean, and I'm sure that that's the same thing for other countries as well. I don't know how cold it gets in Italy, but I'm assuming that maybe Greenland might not be tolerable. for anybody that has to play an UEFA match in Greenland, you know.
I mean, if anything, like
And once again, it would
some
be
of
hard to maintain a pitch because I think
yeah, the weather would kill it. If anything, what's going to end up happening, they would have to use synthetic turf in order for it
and
to
obviously
maintain.
FIFA ain't gonna like that too much at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a real conflicting thing. So I think that's more so the reason. I think the Denmark part maybe was just like, hey, let's just add this one more thing just to seem kind of legitimate. But the whole Faroe Islands thing doesn't help. But yeah, so because UEFA is not hasn't been really been accepting to Greenland, they've been seeking membership from CONCACAF.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
when people were complaining about how the U.S. was awful for having Honduras and El Salvador playing like in Minnesota and I think Chicago, I think was the other city that they played in, that like, oh, the U.S. took advantage of these poor Central American teams, and this is coming from a Central American. I think that was diabolically genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That
like
was, I mean, otherwise would they have gotten that far? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I was like, if I mean to be fair though, there was a lot of players that like from the American standpoint that weren't doing too well with the cold either. But obviously, if you grew up in tropical weather and you're never cold to you is 60 degrees, this is that yeah
That crazy weather. Yeah,
yeah that
that
that that wasn't fun.
that was
So
bad.
so if that was bad to you, just imagine flying all the way to Greenland, which by
Is
the way,
this is
the jet lag would suck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
'cause
oh, and let me tell you something though. Also, you got to think about it this way. I mean, what if it's also like karma coming to hit US in the ass? What if they have to play against, you know, what if they have to play against Greenland and the next thing you know, it's like they
for
have to go over there
for like a
and
World Cup
then
qualifier.
yeah, for like a World Cup qualifier and it's like the last game and if they don't qualify, dude,
Bro,
it would be a complete cluster of all
Greenland might
kinds
just
of
win. I think Canada might be the only country that would be able to go toe to toe with Greenland. Just because,
and
I mean,
maybe.
I mean, I'm sure Canadian cold is still not Greenland cold, but I mean, I think if I had to put money on one of the countries, I mean, I'm not giving it to Mexico. So I mean, like, it might be Canada might be the best shot, but. Dude, the flight, the travel alone, I think would not be. I don't know how close Greenland is from the Americas. I didn't. I probably should research that,
Mm.
um, but I mean, I think the other question, which was a fair question, is Greenland even good? Is there even a football culture in Greenland? Apparently, there is, and it's not necessarily football, but futsal is actually,
Oh,
and obviously it makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's freezing cold
yeah,
outside.
it's cold
So,
outside.
so I mean, why not be at a gym? Why not be on a basketball court or something like that, right? So, which if you guys don't, if you guys aren't really familiar with futsal, which is more popular from Brazil, I think, but I mean, I think across the Americas and I think even across the world, futsal is actually a pretty popular alternative for football. And I think prime example Ronaldinho was that's one of the things that he was more known for before he started playing more on the traditional pitch and all that. So it is a good way to learn a little bit about technique and footwork and be more technically sound. I think it does provide a little bit better. You can learn a little bit about more being of a technical player from playing futsal. So, and I think there is a good correlation from playing futsal and then taking it on to the football pitch. Um, and where maybe feels the same or maybe doesn't. But
Oh yeah. No, I love futsal. You know that.
yeah, that's the reason why I said that because Edward is a big sucker for indoor. So, but yeah, no, futsal it's a really good alternative, especially for cold weather. I think if you don't want to be outside and suffering in the cold, go inside and play some futsal. Um, so I don't think that. So as far as that goes, with that, I mean, I know it's not a direct correlation. I mean, it'd be impressive to see how they can train when you aren't able to go outside frequently enough. So, I mean, I think Greenland is still trying to build those things. From what I heard, they did make some kits, and apparently they're very much fire. Um, but yeah, so they have put out that they want to play for they want to play as a CONCACAF nation. Um, I don't know the rules that come into play as far as what you need to do to be considered a part of another confederation. I mean, we all saw Australia move from Oceania to Asia to be considered an Asian country. And obviously in a football aspect. But yeah, I just don't know how it would work. And I think Greenland would have some sort of advantage as far as like countries having to go travel to Greenland. And then I
Yeah.
think if vice versa, it would also they would have a disadvantage as well having to go and play in the Americas, specifically Central America, and play in that humidity because I'm sure that's a heat that they have never played in.
Yep.
So I think it's very safe to say. Um, so I think that it'll be intriguing to see what Greenland does because I don't know. I think there's a lot of unknowns with Greenland, but they actually applied May of last year. So and they haven't really heard anything. They're very optimistic that they think CONCACAF will take them in. But if CONCACAF does take Greenland in, where do you think Greenland? I mean, like I said, we don't know anything about their national team, or even if they have a league or anything like that. But
Yeah.
what do you think if they come in? Do they have some sort of advantage being that they play in Greenland that fares to them? But how the road would probably be the harder part for them. But do you think Greenland, if they're confident about CONCACAF, do you think they could come in and compete with CONCACAF?
I think they can. I mean, the thing is, like you said, talent is not it's not faltering. Like they don't. It's not like, oh, we're we're scarce on talent. Like they've got good young people that can move the ball. Is futsal is a very good way to develop good dribbling technique, keeping the ball close to you. A lot of juking, freestyling. That involves a lot of body feints. Very physical, very physical. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of the TikToks or reels or anything like that when it comes to like futsal, how physical it can get. Um, yeah, so I think it would be a good they would actually make it in CONCACAF. I think they would.
Yeah, as far as like
It's just that
As far as
I
like
think
Mexico, USA, and Canada, I think that maybe they're not, because
they're not up there in that
they're more
par.
established when it comes to
Right,
CONCACAF.
right. And then they're not up there in that par, but also that's also one thing that the long game. That's going to be a problem for them playing the long game. Like for example, putting the right back to just chunk the ball all the way. I don't know how many fucking yards, 80 yards, 90 yards, all the way up to low left winger, just crossing the play, switching the play up, making the striker run all the way down to the middle. I'm sure cardio is not a problem, especially like I said, they're basically going to be trained for that. It's just the long pitches, the big fields. If they have indoor fields that are like that big, who knows? Who knows? But
I mean,
like you
if
said,
this
you,
coaching, because they have a coach, like they have the lead I mean, what is it? The national team at least is established. Like they
yeah,
have their players. They're just waiting for their opportunity to be able to showcase what they can do. And once again, I mentioned about their kits. I need to look it up, the Greenland kits, because I know that I've been told that they're fire. I don't know.
really.
I've never seen them in person, but let me see. Greenland. Their flag's kind of cool. Kit.
Hmm.
Like how Greenland Kitchen was the thing that came up. Greenland Hummel. So they have Hummel as their kit sponsor.
Oh,
Um, yeah, yeah, no, it's pretty decent. I think the Greenland flag is like red and white, so obviously you're gonna have a your primary kit be red. And I do like the little design that they have on the side. Um, but yeah, the away kit that's icy. That is icy. Yeah. Makes
hmm.
sense because Greenland.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I think it would be an interesting opportunity. I think if Concacaf takes him in, hey, I mean, if Donnie T can somehow get ownership of Greenland, maybe it happens. But yeah, I think it's an interesting. I mean, there's no other option for them, right? Like, I mean, who else can they sign up for? I mean, Asia. They're I think they probably are closer to the Americas than they are to like Asia or Africa or even yeah, I guess that's it. Uh, because if they applied for CONMEBOL, which that would be a slaughter. Uh,
Yeah. That I mean, that would be a very bad idea for the most part because there's nowhere in Conan Bowl that I can think of them being able to play um in that temperature. Or like for
bro, and,
example,
and then playing
there that
that
they would
that altitude in Bolivia.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, it's that the heat. Yeah, the heat's gonna be rough. I mean, Peru is pretty cold. I know that.
Yeah, but that's because of like
The
the mountain
mountains.
range and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, like but
But it's not Greenland cold. And I think at the
no.
same time though, you're gonna go into that heat because
Yeah.
South America is also known for its heat. Like I mean,
Bro, and then some of the stadiums are actually completely open. And sometimes when you got to play in the summertime, it is scorching hot, especially here in the US. Um, so imagine the
I mean,
Greenland, who doesn't
If
ever
Greenland
get
has
a
to play the U.S. like for like a World Cup qualifier, like let me
no,
see
no, no,
it.
even no, 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 even in a friendly, let's put it this way, even in a friendly, and it's 102 degrees outside, they got to come play here at Energy or even at the Dynamo Stadium. Even as like I said,
Even in
even
Florida, man.
Florida, but it's like 102 degree, 105-degree, and the sun is scorching hot. Now, mind you, Greenland, I've never seen anybody from Greenland, but I'm assuming they don't get a lot of sun, So I'm assuming the sun would be a also a factor on them, basically making them completely uh dehydrated. They're not going to be used to that kind of heat. For one, we were talking about how the US or anybody else going to go play at Greenland, but we haven't brought the concept of them coming to play here in a very hot day. And we don't know how they would be able to handle that.
Yeah, no, you're right about that part. Huh? I can't find Greenland. Like all I see is Greenland, United. Apparently, there's a lot of Greenlands in the United States.
Pretty sure it's
Apparently,
like Greenland Park, Greenland Road, Greenland Street.
this might be it. No, that well, maybe. Yeah, it looks like it. So the hottest right that's gonna be right now in Greenland, in which I mean, mind you, it's January, is like 57 degrees.
Damn. Mind you, we went from a 20, 30-degree weather here in Texas, and we're already up in what, 70s, 60s?
Yeah, man. How close are we from Greenland to the? Like I'm just like intrigued now. Like how
Because
far is?
Greenland, I think, is considered up north.
Oh,
It's a little closer to.
we're not that far from us actually.
No, they're not. I think they're I think what above Alaska or something.
Uh, no, I mean they're on the east side.
Oh, okay, okay.
Wow, dude, Google Maps. This is a if, all right. Well, search for a different country in Google Maps, and you get a trippy looking globe. So yeah, okay. So maybe geographically, it's not that far.
For a
Uh,
second, I thought you were about to say geological.
no, geological. Is that what the right word is?
No, you said it right,
Geography.
geographically, but I thought for a second you were about to say geological.
I'm not good with words. Wait. So where's Iceland, bro? This okay. Apple Maps, bro. Like you guys have some. This is so trippy. Like being on a globe. This is great podcasting, by the way. But okay, dude, Iceland is so tiny compared to Greenland. Like I'm learning this right. I've never had to study Greenland, by the way, guys. I don't know if this is like if someone's about to say this guy's a moron, but like I want to see you. You know what? Come and teach me a lesson about Greenland. I'm sure you guys know more than me, but I actually really thought they were more at Europe. Which I mean, they're not that far off from Europe either. It's kind of
Yeah,
maybe Donnie T has a point. So like people are gonna get mad when I say that just saying that alone. But
yeah,
but So technically, I mean, they're not. They're in that North America sector. So I mean, I guess it's not that far fetched when you think about it, right? They do have. I will say they do have an advantage because of the weather. As far as like a Central American team or a Caribbean team would go there. Like I
Hmm.
said, they're the only team that probably wouldn't be too worried about playing Greenland would be Canada. But yeah, no, I think it's an interesting concept. Maybe CONCACAF approves it. I mean, obviously, maybe they're looking to add more nations. Um, but yeah, no, it's an interesting story. We'll see if they get approved or not. But I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
Okay.
It's a different culture, so learn. I'll learn more about Greenland. That's what I'll take from it. Is I'll, it was just crazy to think because Iceland's not that far from Greenland. At least when I looked at the map. I'm sure maybe in reality it's obviously the globe is obviously the ratio is probably not as accurate. But I mean, um, and Iceland plays in UEFA, so
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing. But anyways, maybe Iceland decides. Maybe Iceland's like, hey, maybe we should play in the in the U in a Concacaf too when they start seeing that. Hey, but obviously Iceland did was able to compete in the World Cup, so
All right.
well compete in the World Cup. But anyways, we'll move on to the next headline, man. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canadips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. Borussia Dortmund, Edward. Um, if there's, what do you want to say right now? I mean, before we talk about the whole sacking of Nuri Sahin, but how are you feeling? Like when you have to compare Dortmund to maybe say a Manchester United.
Yeah, that's very sad. Very, very sad. Because it's Dortmund has a very good let me put it this way, they have a very good academy. They really do. They're young players. Basically, and we've already said this before, that Borussia is basically like a farming team. Like all their really good players end up leaving Borussia and then go to uh Manchester City, Bayern Munich for one, ends up poaching a lot of them. Manchester United, they go to EPL. They go to, yeah, mostly EPL, German league. They stay in Germany, but they end up going to Bayern Munich. Um, but with the whole thing with the coaching and everything, and then you're sacking Nuri Sahin. Honestly, I felt like they were doing pretty decent. It's just they've had a very bad run recently, a very bad
I mean,
run. I
as far as Nuri Sahin goes, I mean, how did you feel about that? That was the guy they pointed after Eden left. Obviously, was able to get that team to the final. Which I mean, I think in some sense we knew that there was a sign that maybe Borussia Dortmund. Besides, if you look at the Champions League, because what a run that they had for the Champions League. But
oh yeah,
as far as like the league goes, because they finished in fifth last year, right? And
yeah,
and the only reason why they qualified for Champions League was because of the fact that the other 3 teams that was essentially the semifinalists for the Champions League were already in an automatic Champions League spot.
yep,
So I mean, even regardless of if Bayern Munich have won, Real Madrid who did win, but or PSG won, they would already have a spot in the Champions League because of where they were on their league table. Whereas Borussia Dortmund was actually in a Europa League spot,
yeah,
and so they were like, all right, F it, you guys get the automatic Champions League spot. So I mean, and I know at least when I was talking to Jose, because Jose also has like similar to you has a soft spot for Borussia Dortmund. Uh, felt like that was just like I guess like a participation trophy.
yeah. It was like here you go, you did good. Here's a sticker.
Yeah. So I think yeah, it was one of the, but I mean that was the reality, right? Like they were gonna be in the Champions League regardless. But yeah, you look at this season right now, Nuni Sahin, who I think this was his first coaching job.
Yep.
Um, Obviously well known for his time at
Well,
Dortmund.
well known. Yeah.
So, um, do, I don't know how you feel now because obviously with Barcelona how it panned out with Xavi. Are you at this point just like kind of off with the former team player coming in and coaching? And are you kind of over that now, or are you just
No,
you?
not really, because you got to think about it this way too. Xavi he may have been a player coach, he may have been a player's manager kind of stuff, but he was doing the whole expectation like Pep. Like he was doing the whole being strict about it, their dieting, their exercising kind of stuff like that. It's just I guess maybe because he did see a lot of those players at the same time that he was there. It's not like they didn't respect him. It was more of like, oh, I know how he is. He's lenient, he's gonna be very chill. Or, like kind of like they take it easy a little bit. And so they take the the foot off the accelerator pedal, and then so it, it's not that I'm over the player coach thing. It's more of like they just need all these teams nowadays, especially with all these young talents, they have a lot of discipline problems, like a lot of uh, they take it too nonchalantly sometimes. Like they play a little bit too nonchalantly, and then whenever they lose the ball or anything, they get mad. Then they start taking that on their own teammates. They start beefing between each other on the field, and then it's like, what's the point then? Like, there's no point in me arguing with you when we're losing 3-1. We're losing 2-1, and just because one pass didn't come up the way I wanted it to, and I'm getting mad at you because you didn't receive it. It doesn't make sense. But then with the player manager, I guess the way that he was managing, it's not like Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso, bro, we've seen videos of him coaching. You don't do exactly what he does, he'll stop the training right then and there, and he'll start screaming at you.
Hmm.
And it's like I don't know why, but Nuri Sahin he seemed like he would be like a strict coach, but maybe he had like a soft spot, for certain players.
Yeah, and I mean it wasn't like not that long ago that he was playing with these guys. So
Yeah.
yeah, I get all that. But yeah, like I mean. So obviously they sacked him after 6 months in charge. Definitely much a correlation from how they performed in the Champions League when they lost 2-1 to Bologna, or however the hell you pronounce it. Because I think Kelsey has tried to correct me on that a few times. I'm not Italian, guys. I'm not. Eric can confirm I'm not Italian. Um,
His nickname was Italy, but Italia, but it does not mean
Bro,
he'll
that
be
was like
Italian.
by far the dumbest nickname I ever got. It was getting called Italia, and it was just because like I was wearing an Italy jersey, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's your nickname is Italia," and I was like, "Has to be the dumbest, by far the dumbest thing I've ever been given." Like, Chippy nicknaming me Rookie for being my first quinceañera was made more
Yep.
sense. And yeah, it was dumb, but no, but yeah, so yeah, the loss in the Champions League, which I don't know where Dortmund is in the Champions League right now. I think there's not in a great spot, but maybe
They're surviving. They're
they're
surviving.
surviving. But yeah, so and obviously currently in the table, they're currently 10th place, 7 wins, 4 draws, 7 losses, and have a goal differential of 1. So
Yeah.
yeah, like it's not the same Borussia Dortmund, and I mean it's so hard because when you have like because you have players.
Yeah.
Like that's
Well,
the
okay.
crazy part.
Let me ask you this though. So, what do you think right now with the whole situation that happened with Marco Rose leaving, after all this time? Do you think that also had an impact in their playing? abilities, their players, like they needed that coach, or they needed that player there. They needed that team leader. They needed that captain to be there on the field or even on the sidelines, because it's like he left and he kind of, went back not down, but it was like, okay, now who's the
I
face of this team? Now who's the one that's going to be leading them? And then
I,
it's
I
just
think
it
that's
wasn't the
a
same.
I think that's a valid point, but I mean, I think near the end, I don't think Marco Rose was like a regular starter when he was at the end of his time with Borussia Dortmund, which is kind of funny because of the whole thing of Borussia Dortmund players leaving and then going winning titles, which is funny enough. Marco Rose went ahead and won the MLS Cup,
Yep.
but which by the way, I never actually got your thoughts on him going to the LA Galaxy. Were you
Bro,
at least remotely happy?
I was excited that he's in MLS. It's like it's a possibility that we may able to go run into him and stuff or like see him. But other than that, I was more of like, dang it, like bring him to the Dynamo.
Oh, or get yourself a Marco Rose kid, LA Galaxy kid.
Nah, not that point. No, no, no. I'll stick with the Borussia Dortmund Royce kid or the Germany.
Okay, which you do have.
Yeah.
I mean, for the whole thing though, you still have Schlotterbeck. Like
Yep.
that should be one of your leaders. Sabitzer is another guy that should be stepping up. I mean, essentially, he kind of took over that 10 role, which I
Hmm.
believe. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Marco Russo started taking over as a 10
Yeah.
late at
He
near the end.
he did he it's because like he didn't have that same running ability that when he was a winger.
Yeah,
He didn't have that. And it's okay. It happens. I mean,
yeah,
shoot, with age it happens. I mean, look at Messi. Messi was playing more of a 10 role instead of his normal wing role.
hmm which is perfectly
Same thing with
fine.
same thing with Ronaldo. Ronaldo instead of being a winger, he was playing more just as a striker up top.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have Kobel. I mean, Sabitzer. That's. I wouldn't say I expect him to be a leader or anything, but I mean, that's still a guy that is taking that 10 role, right?
Hmm.
Um, Emre Khan is the captain, so he should be able to at least like remember what Marco Ruiz expected from them. So there's guys, right? Like there's guys that you could see that you know that should be able to be leaders for this team. So I
Yeah.
don't. I think that's unfortunate if they don't if they feel that they can't step up in a way, but I think obviously the big flaw for Borussia Dortmund this year is they've just been giving up goals, man. They've been scoring. I mean, you got Girassi who has like 15 goals. Giddens, the left winger, has 11 goals as well. And I mean, Adi, like there's a lot of talent on this team, man. Like you still have Adeyemi.
Hmm.
Malin is still pretty good quality. Brandt, I keep forgetting he's on the team.
Yeah.
Um, Gio Reyna is healthy. That's all I gotta say. I don't really have anything else to mention about that. Um, knock on wood, he's healthy. There's that other American that I'm keeping an eye on. Campbell, I think his name is.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I think he just started getting some playing time. For Dortmund, I don't think he's like scored a goal or anything, but that's
Hmm.
still a guy that I'm like keeping an eye on. Just because America. But
Murago.
yeah, but so there's players to be excited about as far as when it comes to Borussia Dortmund, which is always going to be the thing with Borussia Dortmund. You're going to have young, exciting players, and here comes in who the guy, or at least the guy they're hoping to get to come in and kind of steer the ship. Because I don't think 10th place is necessarily like the end of the world. Especially we've seen teams in worse positions, and I'm not saying win the league. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not crazy. But at least get into a European competition spot.
A decent position on the table, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean they're not too far off, I think. And the name that apparently is on top of Borussia Dortmund's list, and Edward, I'll let you take it over from here, but it's Eric Ten Hag.
Oh God. I mean, to be fair, to be fair, he is a very strict disciplinarian. It's just I don't think he was playing the players in the right positions where they should have been playing when it came to Manchester United.
also kind of
But
funny that there's rumors about Marcus Rashford going to Dortmund.
yeah, yeah, which that would be the end of the career for Rashford if Ten Hag
Rashford,
goes and he decides not to use him.
Rashford would just be like, I just can't leave this guy.
Like this guy cannot leave me alone. If anything, do you think we because of the rumors of the managers and stuff, like you think he might be like, you know what? I'm not going to Dortmund. Screw that.
The whole Rashford thing is crazy now because now I think there's rumors about him. I think Barcelona has come out, which I mean, it
Dude,
comes
he would
back
be
to
the first.
how can you you can suddenly afford his salary? So, like,
Well, yeah, because now they're no longer in the freaking positions where they're
well, I mean,
they're
yeah,
fucking up.
okay, that's fair. That's fair point. I think I keep thinking that Barcelona is still broke, but no, fair enough. Which is just funny because they go from like, all right, now we're good enough. It's like when you paid off your car and you decide, oh, F it, let me go get another, let me take out this car loan and buy another car.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm like thinking right now. Is just, I mean, ooh, that would that be a Hansi Flick guy? And I think he would. I really think he. Wow, bro, that's. I
Well,
think
Rashford?
Mark Rashford wouldn't be a bad shout for Flick.
I mean, but do you really want to mess right now with the
I don't. But coming off
with
the
the
bench, which crazy thing because you're gonna pay that salary.
well, no, coming off the bench, but then the thing is you would have to renegotiate his salary if anything,
I mean,
and
it's
he
gonna
would
be
have
a
to take it.
loan.
Yeah. Well,
At least it's gonna be a loan
maybe.
for the meantime. Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe Barcelona decides to buy him. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's hilarious, and I think Juventus is out now because I think they got Koulibaly. So,
Yeah.
which I was really hoping Arsenal was gonna get him. Anyways, but Ten Hag. Look, I mean, you're talking about Borussia Dortmund, a team that's known for its academy. I mean, we saw him do very well with Ajax. I understand Ajax, at least at the time, was the
Well,
only
that's
team in the
and then
Eredivisie, which is
you
now
know what?
clearly not the case.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna take it back. Ten Hag might be what Borussia needs because now you started mentioning Ajax. Um, Ajax is a very predominantly strict club when it comes to playing style. Very standard playing style, basic, not tiki-taka, but very just,
Total football.
total football, basically. And Manchester United is exactly what it needs. Or I'm sorry, Manchester Borussia Dortmund is exactly what it needs at the moment. I think right now with Nuri Sahin, what they were doing mostly is like wing plays. Like they were using mostly the wings, uh,
Which
trying
makes
to
sense.
just
Which makes sense because of the goals that came off the wings.
yeah.
So,
And then like even you said, like the wingers were the ones that had the most of the goals. Yeah, because like all they would do is just push the ball up. They were basically playing like that old school style of EPL league football, where they would just shoot it all the way from the back and let's hope the forward gets it kind of vibe to it. But with Ten Hag, it may be possible. Now that I think about it, like it may be possible that he could restructure everything up to whether he's going to require everybody to be at a very strict pace, very strict play style. Just keep it like total football, not just tiki-taka, not just over the shoulders, win your defender's back kind of balls, like just sprint and I'll get you the ball over there kind of plays. Like I think it's gonna be a little bit better because the thing is in Manchester United you had Bruno Fernandes and Bruno Fernandes was making these crazy ass plays and somehow like it still wouldn't get done. So he would have to take matters into his own hands. But he can only do so much as one player. With Dortmund, I'm not saying that the quality of players are good. It's just I think you have less ego in Dortmund than you do in Manchester United
oh,
because of
100%,
yeah, because
100%.
of Borussia Dortmund has like the young players that are unknown, but they are making a name for themselves. Manchester United, once you're in Manchester United and they know that you get paid big money, then it's like, okay, you're a big player name. You got the ego, even if you haven't done anything.
Now that you say this, I kind of hope Marcus Rashford comes to Dortmund and Ten Hag just puts him on the bench. That's gonna it's like his statement to the team. See, look how much.
No, the thing is
Honestly,
with
the team would probably be like, "This guy's kind of crazy."
well, the thing is Marcus Rashford though, he's a known player. It's just he was never played. I don't think he has an ego,
No, he doesn't.
but but he was never put on the field to show, hey, I can do this. Bruno
At least
Fernandez,
this
look,
season. I think at least this season for him. I
Bruno
think
Fernandez, he has the ego, but he has the skill to back it up. Garnacho has the ego, but he's still developing.
that's the.
Anthony has the ego, but no skill. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but
he,
Anthony,
he's got
he
confidence.
he he got let down. He got let down so hard. He let down Manchester United so hard. He let the fans down a lot, and it was all because of his showboating, and that was it.
Yeah,
That's all he does. He's pulled a goal here and there. He's pulled an assist here and there, but that's it. Like, it's not like a consistent thing where he goes every day. It's not like, let me put it this way: Rafinha, consistent. Uh, Anthony, and now I'm even bringing Richarlison into the conversation. Not consistent. Like they just it's like hit or miss kind of stuff, like where they're the way they're passing the ball. Gabriel Jesus, when you put him on, consistent, you know? It's just little things, I guess. It's just the ego. Once you let the ego get to your head, you just rely on your one skill that you have, and then that's it. Like that's all you do. And then you hope that it's gonna work the 95% of the time. I'm not saying they're not skilled footballers. I'm just saying for that level of play, they need to develop a bit more inclination of playing as a team instead of I'm going to take on everything on the whole world by myself.
fair enough. So I
So I
mean,
think Ten Hag would be a helpful tool to for Borussia Dortmund. And I'm not calling Ten Hag a tool. I just realized what I was. I'm just saying.
I like it. I like it. Look. You still have some resentment, and that's fair. You can still have some resentment of the man. He just made your team. It's crazy to think this guy won you an FA Cup, kept his job for like a little bit longer.
It's like
Uh,
any achievement he would do. Okay, this buys you 2 more days. Okay, this buys you a month. Okay, this buys you 3 more months. It's like
it's
it's like he was
crazy
playing.
because
It's like he was playing like the lottery scratchers. Like you instead of winning like a big payday, he
you
goes
get
ahead
like
and
ten
like just
bucks or something like
yeah,
that.
you got like $10. Okay, I got $10. This is gonna last me a week. Okay, I got $25. Okay, hey, I got $500. All right, this is gonna last me a while. Let me go ahead and keep buying lottery scratchers. It's the same shit. That's exactly what he was doing. It was like little
But like,
things
what
here
was
and there would
crazy to
like
me
help him
because
out.
going into the FA Cup final against Man City, the whole thing was that regardless of what happens in this match, Ten Hag's getting fired. Like that's
Yeah,
all I heard going into this game of Man City versus Manchester United for the FA Cup was that it doesn't matter what the result is, Ten Hag's getting fired. And I remember everyone being like relieved, like all the Manchester United fans that I knew were relieved at the
I
idea.
was. I mean, I'll be honest. I was a bit relieved. I was like,
Like you were
yeah,
just like kind of like, oh my god, this is gonna be over. I don't care what happens today or anything like that. They win the FA Cup. And I think maybe a little bit behind also was like they were kind of like I don't think he's gonna win this game. This to
yeah.
be honest, I was like it's Man City. It's a tall
Dude,
task sometimes.
honestly, even I was just like, man, what is gonna happen? Like that's my thing. Like I was like,
And like I said in
what
the
is gonna happen?
podcast when I was talking about that FA Cup final for a brief moment I was in full like what's the full euphoria when when Manchester United beat Man City because at the end of the day it's fuck Man City. But then it kind of came back down to earth when I realized crap Arsenal didn't win a single trophy this season except for the Community Shield, which I don't want to acknowledge that. Um, but
I was about to tell you, what about the community shield? And then you're like, oh, I
yeah,
don't want to acknowledge it.
everyone knows how I feel about Super Cups. Um, but yeah, no, like as soon as that happened, I was just like, oh crap, damn, yeah. That's all I.
This just said, oh crap, yeah.
That's literally what I said. As soon as
This
like
dude.
I was like hyped up. I was happy for you that you got the FA Cup at least. And I mean, it was kind of I think for you for Manchester United fans, and I'm not trying to speak for you, Edward, but I'm sure it was like awesome. There's hope. We can build off of this. Ten Hag will be gone. There's something to build for this team now. There's confidence. and then Ten Hag's thing.
Yep.
So yeah, and I mean, they fired him eventually. I mean, I don't know. Amorin, I don't think it's panning out too well. Um,
It is not.
but I don't think it's his fault. I don't like. I think at this point, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse now. With Manchester United, I just think at this point it's not. It's not a. It's, you can't blame it on a coach anymore. It's got to be the players, bro. Like I don't know what it is about that locker room. I think Cristiano Ronaldo
And
was
then
onto
and then
something.
and then let me tell you something. The thing is, if it is the players, Ten Hag will be able to do something with Borussia.
That I think that would be probably like the answer
That would
that
be
the
that
answer
would
that you
be
might not want to know here. Like,
yeah, I was about to say, I was
how would
like
you feel about
that.
that?
How
Like
would I feel?
if Ten Hag can somehow get this team from like 10th place to third place.
It'll
Obviously
be a
that's a
double-edged sword.
stretch.
It'll be bittersweet. It'll be bittersweet because one, then I'd be like, okay, he was playing with Manchester United. How come he couldn't do that with Manchester United?
Hmm.
Then we're all gonna look at the players now. And then we're gonna be like, okay, so who's the problem? Who's the root of the problem now? And then you're gonna be thinking,
Oh,
okay,
more
who's
and
gonna be
more,
the one?
man. Ronaldo's just smelling like roses after that interview.
I mean,
Just
I never insulted Ronaldo on the fact that he was saying, hey, these guys are being treated like prima donnas. These guys are being treated like they have this ego to them, that there's some shit going on in the locker room.
hmm
That they're basically being babied and stuff like that. Like I never told him, oh, I never said, oh, Ronaldo, you're just jealous or you're wrong or whatever. No, I was just like, damn. I was like, well, maybe that would explain. From the get-go, I was like, well, maybe that explains things. But I was never like oh, well, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. No, I was more of like,
like I think it
like
was
I
one of
just,
those like I would truly hate to be if that's the case kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. I was
And
like,
yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of more and more looking like it is the case because the Glazers, and as far as I know, the Glazers are gone, at least to some extent. The Glazers are gone, right? That was how everyone was like, get these evil Americans out of Manchester United.
yep,
Um, and now you got Ineos, right? And I think that they're gradually moving in the right direction. So, but like I've said it plenty of times, right? I said, okay, well, at the time, Ten Hag was the guy, right? The guy that everyone should be going after, right?
right.
Manchester United got him. At the time, Anthony was like, we need to get this guy. He's the guy. Manchester United got him. Jadon Sancho, everyone thought that was the greatest, the
Dude,
smartest
I
move of
honestly
all
thought
time.
that would have helped out so much.
Like, it's the thing is, Manchester United, they go after who everyone else is in agreement that this is who you're supposed to go after. Go get Paul Pogba. Like I at some point I'm just I don't know like if you really can blame the Glazers or blame the front office because if you're going after the guy that everybody agrees is the guy you need to go sign, like I mean, and I know that there is the reality that sometimes that guy doesn't pan out. I mean, we saw what happened with Eden Hazard with Real Madrid. Like, things happen. Like, it's just the way things go. Like, who would have thought that Vinicius was gonna be who he is now? You
Yeah.
know, it's hard to predict, right? So, I get those things. So that's why I'm like, it's so hard to keep blaming Manchester United's front office. It's like at this point, it's somebody's fault. I just don't know who it is anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it just I think the way that it's not the front office or anything like that anymore. It's I just think I just really think yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I don't know the
yeah,
coaching
I
staff.
get
It could be the facilities themselves. It's like a lot of shit. A lot of shit. The
it's something,
ownership,
man.
something going on.
But
I
at
just
least on the flip side for Borussia Dortmund, I don't think that their season's necessarily over. I mean, maybe Champions League might maybe, but like as far as the season goes, I mean we've seen teams not just in the Bundesliga but just everywhere have been in that mid-table spot and found their way into a better position on the table. So maybe it's Ten Hag, maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. I really don't know any other manager. I think the name is Ten Hag, at least right now. I don't know if there's another coach that like gets your attention. Um, But but yeah,
Honestly, not at the moment. Not
Xavi.
at the moment. I mean, no, not honestly. Honestly, but if Xavi goes, it would be Barcelona. It would
Z-
be tiki taka. It wouldn't be total.
Zidane would not be a great idea. Um,
No, honestly, I think Ten Hag would. They just need somebody who would put the way they need to.
go get the guy that got fired by AC Milan.
Uh, I mean, honestly, right now, I guess you could say Ten Hag is a bigger name for being coach. I mean, Xavi is a big. I'm not even gonna lie, Xavi is a big name. It's just,
Granted, he's not. He hasn't been rumored for Dortmund. I'm not gonna.
yeah,
I'm not saying that he's being rumored to it, but Ten Hag at least is rumored to be the top guy on the list. Which I mean, he's not doing anything right now, so I'm sure he wants to go back to coaching. So I think Dortmund is a really good opportunity. I think it's a good.
yeah,
I think you have the fan base, you have the history, you have the academy. So I think it's not a bad place, especially if you want to have a bounce back. Which, funny enough, Borussia Dortmund has been used kind of in a way for players to bounce back their careers. So fair enough.
yeah, exactly.
But all right, the final headline, and honestly, this last headline, I ran out of headlines to talk about, so this was just one that it was a big story just because of the fact that like I think we've seen more, at least from last year, right? You know, you had Jurgen Klopp announcing that he was gonna step down at the end of the year because of of of
Oh, yeah,
mental health.
yeah.
Um, Xavi
Actually,
Xavi then said he would be leaving at the end of the year, and obviously we saw uh how that soap opera all went down.
yeah,
And then Tuchel also mentioned that he will be stepping down at the end of this. So apparently it's a time period for dramatical uh announcements of ending your time with a team.
yeah,
Uh, but I don't think that's the same case. But people, I guess this rumor came to be about, and it was a rumor that sounded pretty strong in at least at some point. Felt like it had a lot of ground on it, and that was that Carlo Ancelotti was announcing that he will be leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season. Obviously, this season hasn't necessarily been the most fun season if you're a Madrista.
yeah,
I think weirdly enough, and even I was saying this when I was looking at the at the halfway point for like all the leagues, like for Real Madrid to be viewed as dysfunctional as people have said it is to be, and still be in the top three,
yeah,
and I think Champions League's a bit of an anomaly to me. The only reason why I say that is because obviously this is the new table, the new format. You're playing two more additional games in the group stage, I guess if you want to call it that. No, not preliminary. The initial, the first stage.
yeah,
Um, yeah, obviously Real Madrid, first time they ever had three losses in a Champions League. So it's a lot. Obviously, you lost to AC Milan, you lost to Liverpool handily by Liverpool, by the way,
yeah,
and then you lost to Lille. So it's losses that were just not really great. And then of course the whole thing with Mbappe, can he fit into his role that Real Madrid wants him to play? Him and Vinny kind of, for some weird reason, being on the same side of the field, for no apparent reason, and Rodrigo just trying to make it work. Shout out to my adopted son, by the way. Um, but and so some people were like, maybe Ancelotti's. I don't know why this is the go-to, and I'm not saying that this is just a Real Madrid thing. I'm sure every other team has it when you have so many star players. But then when the team just isn't working, they're like, maybe it's the coach. Maybe Carlo Ancelotti is just not in with the times anymore. Mind you, last year he literally just won the Champions League. So
yeah,
it's like the guy. Oh man, he just doesn't have it anymore, man. It's been a while. It's like that's literally how I felt that was being said. Um, but yeah, so apparently, Carlo Ancelotti was talking to some people, and he was saying that how this is going to be his last season with the team, even though he did renew his contract till 2026. Um, so he would still have 1 year on his contract. But as far as anything goes, like the rumor was also that he still wants to coach, but he wants to coach in the international level. Which, if you remember last year, the whole story was that Ancelotti was going to leave to coach the Brazilian national team.
Oh,
Obviously,
that's right. Yeah.
obviously that didn't happen because he's still coaching Real Madrid. I'm sure Brazil would have loved to have had Ancelotti now that you mentioned it, um, but yeah, first of all, Edward, as far as like from an outsider's perspective, obviously you have no connection to Real Madrid. Um, when you see how Real Madrid is going this year with the hype that they got in Mbappe, uh, what are your thoughts as far as Real Madrid?
Um, I mean, honestly, they're they're stacking up. I just honestly thought at first, you know how I felt with Mbappe coming to Real Madrid. I was just like, man, like, damn, that's gonna be hard to beat.
For
But
free.
yeah, and then it's gonna be hard to beat. But little did I know, he, he hasn't created a significant impact. But that's where Vinicius. Um, but beside the point, it's just if if Ancelotti leaves, if whoever comes in might change the way the game is played for Real Madrid. The game right now that Real Madrid's playing is good. They're doing their thing. They're kicking ass.
Which
But
which is the thing I kept saying to everybody. I was like, once Real Madrid figures it out, because everybody was like, "Oh man,
yeah,
Tony Cruz leaving was the worst thing to happen to
no,
Real
I
Madrid."
mean the thing is
Like
I
the
knew Fede
overreactions were
Valverde.
insane, right? Like the overreactions that we got from like just everybody in general, specifically some of the hardcore Madridistas.
Yeah,
Like, oh man, we should have not let Tony Cruz retire. Like this midfield is not nothing compared to the midfields that we had before. And mind you, we're talking about Valverde, who the man just knows how to, for some reason, just knows how to shoot a one timer outside the box. Like
yeah,
they,
just
it's in his
come
DNA.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Which by the way, like, I get it that that Lucas Vasquez was offside, and I get it, but that goal was just so nice against Las Palmas, but even though it didn't count. But what else? Kamaving. Look, the thing is, Kamaving and Chouameni. The problem is these guys have to, because of the injuries that Real Madrid has defensively. You've had Chouameni playing center back, and then you've had Camavinga just either playing fullback or having, so like they
yeah,
haven't really gotten a chance to play their actual position.
yeah,
Um, Modric, as much as I love Modric, and I don't know how many times at this point I've said that Real Madrid needs to figure out when to move on from Modric, but I'm not complaining either because the man can still play,
yeah,
and also Modric is definitely in the top 10 guys you can't hate. Uh, as far as like in football, as far as football goes. But Modric is still also is getting older now. Like he's not the same player
yeah.
from before, which is why he comes off the bench. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of been impressed by Dani Ceballos. Never thought I was gonna say that. Never thought in my life I'd say those words.
Damn.
But he's not bad. He comes in, he does his job. So you know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just okay being the guy that knows how to do his job. Like you don't have to be a standout. Like it's fine. Um, I think it's great to get Alaba back. I think that's a good sign because now we can have a healthier-ish defense,
Healthier-ish.
a healthier-ish because I think Militao is injured.
Mm.
Um, you got Rudiger, who's just a dog. Uh, I love that man. I just don't need him to be taking just random outside the box shots for no apparent
Oh
reason.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he keeps doing that.
I love that man, but yeah, I need him to. I mean, he's calmed down with that. So I mean, the day he hits it though, when that day when he hits that one, you know,
Oh yeah.
he's like, yeah, I proved you guys all wrong after the 100 shot. But as far as
I
fullbacks go,
mean,
I mean, let's be honest, Lucas Vasquez is just not a fullback. Like, I mean, that's and he has to play right back because Camavinga he's out. Um, Mendy is Mendy. I really got nothing else to say. Frank Garcia, He's not bad. It's just I don't think he's like a starting caliber left back. If that makes any sense. Um,
Yeah.
I think Real Madrid's gonna miss out on Alphonso Davies. I don't know. I hear he's back on the in the mix, and then I hear he's gonna sign with Bayern Munich. I don't know. I just don't know at this point. Apparently, Trent Alexander-Arnold's also a potential thing for Real
Oh
Madrid.
yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either. Um,
Really? I
bro,
thought you might. I thought you might like him.
this team has no Spaniards.
I mean, that's how. Remember, Galacticos were like that at one point.
Yeah, but we at least had Raúl and Salgado and Guti and Iker.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Ramos. Remember fullback Ramos.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like we still had like a good number of Spanish players. Now this team, like without Cama, without no not Cama, without Carvajal, this team does not have any. I mean, technically Brahim Diaz. I forgot to mention Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz is also a very solid player. Um, but now he's Moroccan because remember he changed he switched to the Moroccan national team.
Yeah.
So yeah, no Spanish players besides Dani Ceballos. Um, literally no Spanish players on this team.
You're like, I don't know how
Well,
to feel about
okay,
that one.
Asensio, the young kid.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm excited for him. I think he's gonna be really good. But
He's a
yeah,
center back, right?
center back, full back. I don't know. They kind of they switch them back and forth. I mean,
Mm,
they for some I don't know. I think Ancelotti likes more Tchouaméni at the center back position over having Asensio, and I think it's just because he's young.
yeah.
But I mean, I think I'd rather see Asensio out there. Um, because I mean, at some point, these guys need to play their positions. That's my whole point. That was the whole point of this rant. Was like at some point, like we need to see these guys playing their positions. I don't think that necessarily Real Madrid fell off. I just think injuries happens, right? It's part of the game, and we're learning now that Real Madrid doesn't necessarily have the depth, you know. So, and the whole Mbappe and Vinny thing, I think Edward, you can attest to this as well. I mean, Real Madrid kind of normally starts slow. Because I mean, last year with Bellingham, they kind of started a little slow too, and I mean, look how that season ended.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, but it's always the thing when Real Madrid isn't playing like Real Madrid, everyone wants to find something to blame at, and obviously the easy thing to blame is that the coach is just not capable of coaching this team, even though this team is literally the same team from last year. So minus Mbappe. So I mean, like that was literally the only big signing that Real Madrid got was Mbappe. I could. What? Like, was there another player? No, it was Mbappe. I think that was it. I don't think anybody else signed. I mean, we signed academy players. I mean, does
Yeah,
that
the
count?
academy players you guys signed
Does
too
that
is,
count?
and it looks like in the next few years it's gonna be like La Cantera de Real Madrid versus, La Cantera de Barcelona. Because it's like both of them are bringing up
Yeah,
kids from
there's
the academies.
a midfielder too that Real Madrid brought up too that I thought that was like fairly decent as well.
Yep.
I mean, the academy of Real Madrid isn't as high profile as Barcelona's academy, at least historical wise. I think what Raúl and Iker Casillas. I mean,
Raúl, Iker
As
Casillas,
Asensio wasn't even our guy. That was Barcelona's guy.
yeah,
So,
it was Marco Asensio, Barcelona's guy.
if anything, Real Madrid just poaches off of Barcelona.
I think Isco too. Wasn't No, no, no. Isco
No, he was
was
Malaga.
yeah, there you go.
Malaga.
He was Malaga. He was Malaga.
Yeah. Um, but
Yeah.
but anyways, I mean, the reality is though, and I'm not gonna lie, I because I mean, I thought that there was a part of me that thought maybe it might be true. Maybe Ancelotti wants to take on the international stage. I mean, 2026 World Cup is right around the corner, so maybe he wants to,
Oh, yeah.
maybe. And obviously the only heir apparent that I can think of for Real Madrid, besides maybe Zuzu trying to come back for a third stint, um, would be Xabi Alonso
Damn. But do you think he would leave Leverkusen?
for Real Madrid.
Oh, do you think he would?
I,
Especially the way that he's
I
been doing things at Leverkusen. And it's been going really
no,
like
I
that
agree, I agree,
undefeated
and I
streak, the like
but
everything.
I know I agree with all those things. But obviously, if this rumor was true that Ancelotti was gonna step down after this season, like come June or whenever the season ends for Real Madrid, I don't know about the FIFA Club World Cup. I don't know. I don't know if that is also where it concludes. But like you mean to tell me that Xabi Alonso isn't thinking like this is one of those jobs that like I think same thing with Barcelona. Like these two are one of those jobs that like yeah, cool. My current situation is kind of nice, but like that's El Clasico, bro. Like it's kind of hard to say no because it's like when is that opportunity going to come up again?
Oh, that's true.
Because I
Hmm.
mean, like how long was Pep's stint with Barcelona? Because he was managing Barcelona
He,
for a good while.
I want to say 4 years, 4
Okay,
years,
yeah,
five
I mean
years.
that feels like an eternity. So like, I mean, look how long. I mean, look how much time we gave Jose Mourinho. You know,
Yeah,
when I think the first stint eventually was like we were stupid to let him go. That was just me, but then we got Zinedine Zidane out of it. But I mean, he basically just copied Ancelotti's tactics. I mean,
yep,
no offense to Zuzu. I love you. Don't hit me with your head. But as far like I think he was someone that was under Ancelotti's coaching staff, right? So he saw that it clearly worked, and also by the way, he had probably one of the best periods of Real Madrid because that was like what prime Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't even know if prime. I don't even think it's fair to say prime Cristiano Ronaldo. By the way, like
prime Cristiano.
yeah, because
Nah,
I
prime.
mean
Oh yeah, I mean prime Cristiano Ronaldo was between Manchester United and Real Madrid days, and a bit Juventus actually.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not fair to say prime Ronaldo because I think like
It's like he stayed at a
he got
constant
like he
level.
kept getting better and better.
Yeah,
So
he
like
just. Well, the thing is, he worked on whatever his like he was losing his speed, and he knew that. So then he started working on his strength. Then he also started working on his jumping even more. Then he started working on
yeah.
his
So
positioning. He started working on basically his explosiveness as well when it came to just
maybe
his power shots started getting stronger.
maybe he's the LeBron James of soccer.
I mean, it could be
he
that he's the LeBron James, and then you got Messi
he's
as the Kobe Bryant
he's
or
just
the
gonna
Michael
keep.
Jordan.
Nah, well, yeah, Messi's definitely the Michael Jordan because yeah, because you might argue that Inter Miami is just feels weird like the whole like how Michael Jordan went to the Washington Wizards.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, but kind of going back to this though, like yeah, Xabi Alonso would be the only clear choice. I don't know if there's any other coach, in my opinion, that would be like,
Well, funny enough that you mentioned that because, okay, I was actually going to cut you off really early on at the beginning of this conversation when you said that coaches were retiring and stuff for mental health and all this stuff and all the other stuff. But now, what if, let's put it this way, Jurgen Klopp came out of retirement, went to coach Borussia, and then Aaron Ten Hag would go to Real Madrid.
kill me.
Now that's just two moving component.
Okay, not like that, not like that. Okay, I don't need anybody. I don't need sponsors to be getting mad at me. No, oh man, I don't know. I don't look. I think Ten Hag is just gonna become the new troll that we did with Pochettino. Even though, bro, we went too far with Pochettino. I think. Okay, maybe not you, more so me.
Yeah.
Because I kept trolling you with the idea of Pochettino coaching Barcelona. Um,
Ironically, he's coaching the US now.
and then he was rumored to coach Real Madrid, and then you started putting that on me, and I was like, I don't like where this is going.
You're like, I don't like this joke.
Yeah, and then
It's not a joke anymore. I don't like it. It's getting too real. I don't like it.
and then he coached. Now he's coaching USA, and
Yeah.
they look good.
So yeah, maybe Pochettino's one of those coaches that with age, it's like wisdom comes with it. Instead of
He
with
really
time, he
isn't
sucks
that
even
bad
more.
though. I mean,
He's not. He's
he
not.
he took Tottenham to a Champions League final. I think that's like the ultimate handicap. So I mean, I was gonna find a way to take a jab at Tottenham. So,
Yep.
bro, that's impressive. That's like playing Gears of War like at its hardest difficulty. So
Yep.
with the worst character.
There's really no worst character unless you want to say Carmine was the
Carmine.
worst character because he would always die.
Dude, how many Carmines were there?
It was three,
This is not a video game podcast.
four,
Um,
four. I think because first it was Anthony Carmine, then the other one I forgot what's his name, but I just know it was like his little brother, and then the
yeah,
third one was another brother.
bro, they
And it
were
was yeah,
essentially the Kenny of that game series.
yeah, yeah.
I never played the last one, the one where you play as the
Gears
girl.
of War 3. Oh
No,
no, what? The girl. Oh, Gears of War 4, I guess. I don't
no,
know.
Gears of War 4, you play as his son, as
Yeah,
Marcus's
you play
son.
as Marcus's
So there was
son.
a
Yeah.
fifth one. There was a
Oh
fifth.
damn,
There was a
I
fifth
didn't
one.
know that. Oh
Yeah,
damn.
I didn't. I never played that one because obviously I don't have an Xbox. But
Same. So,
but
but
yeah,
it was a fun game. But anyways,
but yeah. So because of the and then obviously Carlo Ancelotti has spoken. He refuted that the rumors were even a thing. He claimed that he's very much happy at Real Madrid. And I will say though, if there is a coach that can easily, literally call his own terms with a club, I think it's Carlo Ancelotti. Like I think if he wanted to sign another extension, he will. Like they're gonna work on another extension for him if he wanted to extend. Because I think Carlo Ancelotti, honestly, is one of the best coaches in the world. Some will argue that he's the best coach in the world. I'm not gonna be that guy because obviously the Pep stands will come after me. But I mean, like he is definitely one of the best coaches in the world. I mean, the guy has won everywhere he's been to. He's took what? He's took Chelsea to the champions, won the Champions League with Chelsea, AC Milan, and Real Madrid. Like the dude, like literally, the guy has like done everything that you can as a coach, right?
yeah,
And he was actually not that bad of a player. I mean, this that was obviously way before our time,
yeah,
but and then like you know, but I would say if you're a guy like if you're Carlo Ancelotti, don't you like think like if I win a World Cup, like I mean I'm sure he's not like that kind of egotistical kind of guy, but how sweet would that be if you have won every trophy you could possibly win
mm,
as a coach?
yeah.
Because I mean,
I get that.
Messi's the only like I don't think there's well actually no I'm sure that's it's very fair to say there's many guys that have the same kind of trophies room as Messi. Like I don't think it's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean it's true.
bro. Okay, okay. Let me. This just came to me. Neymar. I mean, I know he's dealing with injuries and everything, but let's
Yeah,
say he is healthy enough, he gets back in some sort of shape, and I'm game shape. I'm not saying he's fat. Um, what if he can get back? And we have maybe I don't know if you've noticed it, but I feel like Brazil's been a completely different team now that Neymar's not there.
yeah, true. That's the
What
thing. It's
what
like
if
when
what if
okay,
he comes back, plays for Brazil, they win a World Cup, and Neymar has won a Champions League, Copa Libertadores, and has a World Cup. Like I don't think there's many people that can say they have all those.
yeah.
Maybe there's somebody out there. I have no idea.
Does he have
But
a Copa America?
did he win with?
No, he didn't win Brazil. Because they did make it to the final, and Messi won that one. Remember? Or no, it was at
Okay,
the semifinal.
I guess then Messi would have to be the guy.
Yeah,
Messi would have to be Messi. You need to go to Argentina, bro. Go play. I mean that would be impressive if you could do it with Newell's old boys, but I don't think that's happening. He might have to go for Boca or River Plate or someone
yeah,
that gives him
right.
like a fair shot at winning the whole thing. But because that'd be just a crazy locker, crazy trophy room, right? Like you've won all like the major trophies
Yeah,
essentially. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure Messi's just chomping at the bit at a Concacaf Champions Cup. But
yeah,
but anyways, no, like, but yeah. So I mean, the thought of Ancelotti wanting to leave Real Madrid, which is crazy. Once again, I think he is one of those guys that, as long as Fiorentino Perez is there, he is safe and respectively so. Um, but yeah, so the fact that I just started teasing myself with the idea of Xabi Alonso, it did kind of, I did have to come back to earth for a little bit. But I mean, it's not like I hate Ancelotti. I don't blame anything with Ancelotti. What's going on with Real Madrid? As a matter of fact, they have kind of found their groove now. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. They found their groove. So there is also that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and obviously the rumor has been squashed. Ancelotti told everybody, no, that's not even remotely what's happening right now. I'm happy around Madrid. Um, but yeah. So those are the headlines. Uh, hopefully we have a more eventful week of football in the next one, Edward. But well, I mean, the following week, I guess for your case.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but uh but yeah, anything you want to say to the people before we wrap this part?
No, well, I appreciate you all welcoming me back always, like always. Love doing the show, enjoyed it. Uh, our banter was funny. Somehow we ended up in Gears, talk about Gears of War, and always fun, always fun. But yeah, man, like it's always good to be back. Like I said, I'm making the time.
Yeah, and I always appreciate that. So yeah, once again, you guys, just so you know, next episode we won't have Edward. The following Edward episode, we'll see
The
Timo
following
Werner.
Edward.
The following the episode after that. Uh, let's see
Love it.
if Timo Werner is still wearing a Tottenham kit. So
Yeah, pretty much. We're gonna have to wait and see. I feel like this is gonna be like the end
I
of the Dragon Ball Z
look,
episodes.
I don't want to
Do you
shit
think
on.
Timo Warner is still gonna stay at Tottenham? Find out next time on Insert Name FC.
The funny thing is, I'm not trying to like shit at all on MLS, but I do think this is your best shot at getting this hat trick
Getting
over
that
with.
picture taken down.
Like I think this is your best shot. Maybe if they play like, oh man,
They're gonna play like
I don't even know.
they're gonna play like a brand new MLS team, something like that, and then next, it's
Bro,
like,
I don't know. San Diego looks like they might be a nice team. I mean,
well, I'm
New,
not talking about San Diego. I'm talking about like maybe they're just
San
gonna
Diego.
randomly make one up. Maybe they're just gonna randomly make one
Hey,
up.
no,
Another one.
hey,
Another one.
New England Revolution's gonna be bad. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. That's probably the game. That's probably
Okay,
gonna
okay,
be.
okay.
So maybe that's the game that we see the hat trick. We're gonna be on full hat trick watch if Timo Werner comes to the MLS. But,
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm hoping.
yeah, we'll see, man. We might have to like start recording and watch alongs, and we're having just to like sit there and endure a MLS game, hope in hopes that Timo
That
Werner
he
scores.
scores. Yeah. He scores a hat trick. He scores. Yeah, if he scores 5 goals, amazing, even more better.
That the prophecy has been foretold.
I'll be like, so it wasn't the EPL, it was the MLS. I just knew it was a league with three initials.
it, it was Porto. It was Porto. Not wow.
Oh God.
Uh, yeah, but all right. So that's headlines, and we'll go ahead and segue over to uh Camp Cupcake with Jose Tejas of GolzTV. So get ready for that.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
All right, guys, we got Jose Tejas from GolzTV. Look at him; he's back.
I'm back.
He's gorgeous. I get it. But anyways,
We back, man. We back.
yeah, man, it's great to have you back, man. So before we talk about Camp Cupcake, this came up into my knowledge all out of nowhere. But apparently, Apple TV has announced a new, I don't know, if it's docuseries, maybe a documentary. I have no idea, but it's gonna be called Onside. Why? I guess soccer because soccer.
Insert soccer hyperbole or adjective right here, and we're gonna run with that. That's what's gonna happen.
Of course, is the rule that nobody knows in America.
Facts, bro. The amount of times if I had a dollar for every time I explained the offside rule to an American sports fan, I like to think I'd be rich, but I could not tell you.
I've never drawn so much in my life having to explain the rule.
You be at a restaurant with the fucking salt shaker and pepper shaker explaining that shit? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm right there with you, bro. 100%.
Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, so Apple TV, I guess they announced this docuseries. It's essentially going to be a look back into 2024. I guess kind of similar to a Full Swing or uh, Drive to Survive. I guess sort of. In case you guys didn't see what happened last season. It's supposed to be interesting though, because apparently they've been interviewing like David Beckham, Pat Noonan, Olivier Giroud, and Kevin Sullivan for some weird reason, but I don't think he played. I think he played one MLS game, maybe.
Yeah, but he was still like a major headline last season if you think about it, right? Like people were thinking he was going to say Philly at one point.
the Man City, the Man City rumors. Well, not rumor. It's official. He's gonna go once he turns 18.
Yeah.
But which is you officially become an adult. I'm moving to England. That's what a life.
I'm kind of
What a
jealous,
life.
bro.
Yeah. It's crazy to think because I think well, they're not gonna feature it, but it would be hilarious if they mentioned the Generation Adidas Cup where Flamengo decided to go and throw hands with with the Philadelphia Union Academy.
No shot that happens. That's definitely going to be a detail they pass over. But I'm going to watch this. I mean, I'll watch it. I'll tune in. I'm sure the production value will stand out to an extent. And last year was good. It was. I don't know how excited it'll get me for this season. As a Dallas fan, I want to fucking forget 2024 if I'm being honest. Um, but I mean, all in all, right? A lot happened. The Kevin Sullivan thing, Messi getting upset in the first round of playoffs, the Columbus Crew defending champions going down, and just think about all the crazy other shit, right? Atlanta losing all of their DPs in a season. Bro, just Inter Miami getting welcomed properly by New York City FC when they played up in Queens, so or the Bronx, I think it was. So like, bro, I think it probably will be good. I don't know if it's gonna be Drive for Survive. Good, I'm not even an F1 fan. That shit had me hooked for a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely gonna tune in.
Yeah, I think if this comes out and then throughout the season it goes back to like nothing again, which is probably going to piss me off, which once again is going to make me feel like why am I spending all this money to watch Apple TV? Obviously to watch MLS, and it's because that's the only way I can watch MLS unless
Yeah.
something changes in the near future. But um, if this happens and it's a great production, similar to when they did Messi Comes to America, I forgot what the documentary was called. But if it's similar to that, like that value, maybe it's not Inter Miami focused. I'm sure Messi will still pop up because he is paying. He's what's paying the bills.
Yeah.
But yeah. So essentially, this will be releasing February 21st. So and MLS kicks off February 22nd. So this is kind of getting everybody excited for the new season. Obviously, new MLS season featured 30 MLS teams. So we will have all MLS teams playing on February 22nd, which, fun fact, me and Jose, both our teams will be playing each other for opening day. So nice little Texas derby to kick off the season.
It's gonna be a good one, man. God, I hope we win, bro. I cannot drive all the way to Houston just for us to fucking lose. But we'll see. I agree with one point you made there, by the way, that hopefully it's the start of something more, right? Apple TV, there's just so many complaints out there that from fans that neither them or MLS have just done enough. Maybe they're riding the coattails of Messi. Who knows?
You're just not getting your money's worth, man. You're just not.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think honestly though, bro, this will be a test. That's kind of how I look at this. I think they'll look at this. They'll put a lot of investment behind it to make it good. That's why I think the production value will be there. But I think if it's not binge watched immediately, right? Or if it takes too long for fans to get into it, I think that will say something to MLS and Apple TV about how much more they spend when it comes to marketing. So it's unfortunate, but it's just how a lot of especially the streaming industry works, right? And just me kind of knowing what I know, trying to build GolzTV. It's there's a reason Netflix only allows as a studio 8 episodes per launch of a series because they want to see how quick they get binged before they invest into something else. And so yeah, I'm willing to bet this is going to be a test. I hope the fans buy in because I think it will lead to more content coming from all the teams, not just the league. And that's what I think the fans really want. content specifically from your team made for you to keep up with your favorite players, your favorite team in this league. And someone like San Diego could benefit from that heavily right now too, just being so new.
So new and so much interesting. The whole thing with the San Diego Loyal, and
They need good PR.
yeah, they're one of the people that can't say and all publicity is good publicity because no, you guys need some good publicity.
They definitely do. They definitely do. And I think they will over time. Their owners don't have the best look right now. Let's be fucking for real. But at the same time, if the whole league is received well because of this content, San Diego will benefit from that. If it's an L for everybody, it's an even bigger L for them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have Chucky Lozano. It's very difficult to hate on Chucky Lozano. I mean, unless you're German. But I
Oh,
mean,
facts.
it's very hard to hate on Chucky Lozano. He's very likable.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that. But
I
all right,
agree.
Jose, the reason why we brought you here was because Camp Cupcake is a thing. I gotta ask you first, like how do you feel about Camp Cupcake in general? Not cupcakes because we all like cupcakes.
We
Um,
all love cupcakes. Yeah.
I have a whole comment section dedicated to my love for cupcakes.
Hey, bro, that's facts. No, I mean, look, I'll be frank, bro, and this is coming from again an avid MLS fan. I love watching MLS players. I believe that the league does need, and the players in the league need more exposure, and it's great to see them get right. Some of the more elite players in the league get some shouts for the U.S. men's national team, but historically, I've never gone out of my way to lock in for Camp Cupcake. It's never really been a priority. I think there's a lot of criticism going around with what Jurgen Klinsmann's saying, right? And like, the reality of Camp Cupcake, what it's really intended for, right? How serious coaches actually take it. I still think we learn at least a little bit about some players, right? Like for those who didn't know, Diego Luna's a fucking dog. I mean, he is absolutely right. As Poch put it, big balls, and that's something that I think um, teams who have discounted Luna along the way in the league have probably now learned about him. And then beyond that, maybe Poch is learning, right, for future call-ups. You never really know. Klinsmann cited Jeff Cameron as a player that, again, he kind of found, I guess you could say, or discovered during those camps, and it panned out extremely well. So they can be valuable to some extent. It does feel like this is kind of like hey, man, here's a cap, right? Here's a cap with the national team. You did pretty good in your league, right? Um, I don't know how much of that translates over to the senior men's national team and how much competition. I do want to see that gap get bridged over time, though. Like, think about how competitive the U.S. would be if, like, Camp Cupcake didn't feel like Camp Cupcake anymore, right? And, like, the growth of the U.S. men's national team from the men's perspective getting to a point where it's competitive between the January camp and the senior camp. That, to me, is what I hope we kind of grow towards down the line. But, yeah, man, right now, it's still very much Camp Cupcake for me.
Yeah, and I think it's hard. Once again, this isn't a FIFA sanctioned international break, and I mean we're not the only national. Clearly, we found teams that decided to make an international break for their national teams, but like I mean Mexico played against Internacional. I mean,
Yeah.
just for a frame of reference. So Mexico even had their own Camp Concha, I guess you can call it. Um,
That's a good name. I'm going to use that, bro. I'm going to use that.
El Campo Concha. Well,
Sounds
I guess
good.
La Campo Concha.
Yeah, it sounds good to me, bro. Damn, a coach I would hit right now. I'm not going to lie. But anyway,
There's a reason why I'm fat. Look, there's a reason why I'm fat. Okay, we get it. I think about food. I'm Salvadorian. We created an amazing dish.
that you
But
did.
but yeah, I think Camp Cupcake at the end of the day, there is some intrigue by it. I think that there was some players that I was actually interested initially in going into this camp when they dropped the roster, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's still kind of some of the guys. I was like, I don't know why this guy's getting called up. I don't know why this guy's getting called up. This guy literally punched the guy. I don't know why we're calling him up. Uh, but I think that there is some benefit to Camp Cupcake, and obviously, we got to understand what MLS provides. At the end of the day, I know I mean, this recent U.S. men's national team call-ups. At the end of the day, has been majority players abroad, and it's probably going to be like that for quite some time. Aside from goalkeepers, at the end of the day, look, for people that are going to ask about goalkeepers, I'm not particularly a fan of young goalkeepers. If they show out, they show out, but
Yeah.
I prefer a little bit more experience when it comes to goalkeepers. So like for the guys that are like, oh, do we really need Zach Steffen out there? I'm like, is he my top choice? No, but like I'm not going to use his age as an excuse as to why he's not getting looked at. I mean, goalkeepers like you could be good still at 30. I mean, Keylor Navas is. I still say he's a gem,
Yep,
regardless. Honestly, he could
100%.
probably still play for Costa Rica, but
Bro, 100%. There's no way he can.
But yeah, so I think Camp Cupcake still has its value. I think, and I'm not. It's not me coming off with this original idea. It came straight from Tactical Manager. This should be looked at as a U23 camp, like, and I mean, I think that would have been U23, or depending on the player, the position as well. Like goalkeeper, maybe you can get away with getting like a 28-year-old, but like essentially, let's see like the players that are available to us, and bring in guys that we actually want to. Well, at least we more intrigued to see. Because like, no offense to Miles Robinson, I think I got enough from you now.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to see too much now from you. I kind of know what I'm getting from you. Same thing. Walker Zimmerman, as much as I love the guy, I just don't think they're going to be part of that 2026 roster. And that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Clearly, I'm always wrong. But
No, I mean, bro, I agree with you 100%. I think maybe us moving to that would be the sign that we need, that it's no longer Camp Cupcake, right? It's no longer like, hey, our annual obligation as a federation to, give some caps away to MLS players so we know what we have in that league. So I think that kind of is what it is right now. I agree that us scaling to a point where we can treat that as just an opportunity to truly analyze young talents. And I mean, even if it means calling up some younger talents that some may even argue don't deserve senior caps because of their age or because of their lack of experience, right? Like, how else are you going to know what they can offer to a growing side, right? I remember how young Pulisic kind of came into the fold, and he wasn't a part of a Camp Cupcake deal. He was just so promising that it made sense to push him all the way up into the senior team. And we just don't know who's going to step up in those opportunities unless we give them, right? You don't have to give them to a significant amount of players, right? But if there are some very, very promising, the Kevin Sullivans of the world, right? Some very promising youngsters, who otherwise maybe even for the dual nationals who may not get that opportunity that young with their other country. Again, it could be a way to sweeten the pot to recruit those talents and bring them in, but at the same time, just bring a lot of legitimacy to this January camp.
exactly. But all right, the first game was on the 18th. It was a beating of Venezuela 3-1. But before people started saying, "Oh man, Venezuela was a really good team in Gold Cup in Copa America," this is a one. Let's be, they're all B teams. Maybe not even B teams. Probably mean to say, but like, well, probably too nice to say. But there some players to note. I mean, Daniel Pereira of Austin FC, Giovanni Bolivar. He plays over in Huesca. I mean, I know that's not a top division Spanish side, but still. It's something. And then Saul Garirapa from Moscow.
Hmm.
Um, take that with a grain of salt. But still, like there is some players at least two of note from it. But essentially, these guys aren't. It's not Rodon. It's not. It's not the Venezuelan national team. It's just guys that were available to come in and to his international friendly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, a 3-1 win, 66% of his possession. Outshot Venezuela 15-11. They had 10 shots on target. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, but the goals did come from Jack McGlynn, who was assisted by Caden Clark, Patrick Akyemang, he's just a grown man. Um, he was assisted by Matko Miljevic. If you guys remember when I mentioned punching a guy, that's the guy. That's the guy that punched the guy.
For clarification. For clarification.
And he also scored a goal in this game as well, which was assisted by Jack McGlynn. I don't know if there's anything that stood out for you from this game besides. We'll talk about players that maybe want to see more of, but I think overall a 3-1 win against a team that you very. This is kind of typical U.S. where you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. This is not the Venezuela team that we saw from Copa America, obviously, but you should be able to win handedly, and I think maybe that's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Beat a team you're supposed to beat.
Yeah, and I will say, if I had to highlight one player that I've been impressed with for quite some time, and I mean, he plays for the Union, and that hurts me in that own little way. But I mean, Jack McGlynn is someone that has come up as an academy player for them. Has been a standout in MLS in his own right, and he kind of gets these shouts, right? These shouts for cup camp, camp cupcake, whatever it is. But he's one of those fringe players for me. You saw how involved he was, right? Not just in the game itself, but on the score sheet as well. He conducted quite a bit from that midfield, and you're right, right? You'd look at the opposition and say, well, there's probably a reason for that. I agree, but with that said, we still have to highlight the players. That's the point of this camp, right? To still highlight players that do stand out. His goal was fucking top drawer all the way through, absolute banger. And again, right? He's creating the plays as well, creating the moments for others to finish off, and so. I think he's someone that I would love to have a Jack McLennan in my FC Dallas side, 100%. Just there's, it seems like there's a lot that he can do when he decides that he wants to push forward and get involved. So in that first game, I want to kind of spotlight McLennan.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'll point out Matko. I'll say it. I think why Pochettino picked him up? I'm assuming because he has like Argentinian roots. He did play for Newell's Old Boys before he got kicked out of that team. This guy's just a walking nightmare. I'm like it's like you have to be impressively bad to be getting kicked out for bad behavior. Like he gets kicked out of Montreal for going under a fake name to go play amateur soccer because he wasn't getting enough minutes at Montreal, which obviously is a big no-no when you sign a contract to a professional team. And then goes to Newell's Old Boys. You're like, dang, what to talk about a move up in some sense, depending on how you feel about where Newell's Old Boys. Everyone knows is Messi's old club.
Yep,
that's what everybody thinks about. But aside from that, though, he goes in there, and that's also very impressive because Argentina is a very physical league. So for you to be an asshole in that league, that's impressive in his own way. But I mean, he didn't play bad. Like I think there's something that Pochettino likes in him, despite the character flaws that he has. That is, he's hungry. Which is something that Pochettino has spoken about. That he wants guys to have hunger and wants to have fight, to believe they can be the best. And maybe Matko, in some sense, kind of depicts that.
Yeah, I think so. And again, right, Poch has gotten a couple different messages across. I think one of them is like that dog mentality, right? We talked about a lot in general, but also like playing with freedom to an extent, right? Like we'll talk about Luna in that second game, and that was honestly, bro, what probably the biggest moment for me the whole damn camp. But I think he talks a lot about, or Luna talks a lot about how Poch just kind of allows them to embrace creativity in the attacking third, not look to him for as a manager for a decision on every move they should make when they're there, right? So yeah, man, I think personally, a huge step up, it seems like, already from Greg Berhalter.
Anything's better than Greg Berhalter, to be honest. I'm still pissed about the whole like letting the U.S. men's national team players know that it's a tie. That
if that didn't show what he brings to the table as a manager, I don't know what will.
Which I'm glad that they're talking about creativity, because I feel like that's what we all been complaining about Berhalter, by the way, which was like, oh no, just passes the back. Don't
try to control the game, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it becomes so stale and pragmatic that like you don't really have anything when someone sets up a mid or a low block against you. So,
yeah, honestly, Greg Berhalter's worst demise of all things was the fact that we got to see how BJ Callahan would have ran the U.S. men's national team, and you're like, oh, they actually can move the ball.
Yeah,
and
who knew? Who knew, man?
It was Greg Berhalter this whole time. So
yeah, who knew? What you just let the professional players play the game they're professionals at? Good things happen. What do you know?
Look what Gio Reyna could do when he's free.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. # free Gio.
Yeah, man. We'll see what happens to him, man. But yeah, and then the second game, which was the 3-0 beating of Costa Rica, which I actually called this GG's. Like it was 1-0. It was like maybe, I don't know how much time was left, but I was like, you know what? I need a shower before I go to work tomorrow because I got to wake up early. And I was like, do I really want to wake up earlier to shower? And I had that answer was no. And so so I decided to take a shower. As soon as I got out the shower, it was 3-0. And I was like, what did I miss? And so I had to find the highlights, and yeah, I am slightly kicking myself, but I wasn't the only one that missed the first that one goal, because apparently Pochettino went to go take a dump, And
Bro, that was hilarious, man. That little I love watching the video of that because like that little scoop, like the little skip in his walk when you know you gotta take a shit, bro. That's classic. That's all of us right there. That first goal, you said you saw that first one before you got in the shower?
yeah, I saw the Brian White goal.
Dude, the Brian White goal. I mean, just what a ball by Diego, man. Just this is it's amazing to
This
me
is
how
also
many
before
MLS teams.
this is like after he just got his nose busted as well.
Yeah, bro, it's just like again, right? We talk about it just being a Dynamo fan and FC Dallas fan. The fact that all these Texas teams passed on this kid. I really hope now, not to go too far off topic here, that we go back in for him at some point because I think he may want to leave Salt Lake. But bro, I don't know, man. It just that ball, everything, right? It's just the mentality after getting hit in the fucking nose like that, right? Dealing with that and just deciding, hey, I'm good to go. And bro, peach of a ball. I loved it.
Yeah, I shamed the state of Texas multiple times, not only on this podcast but also on Wake Up MLS for because everyone thought Diego Luna was fat. That was really the reason why. A lot of people were like, "Oh, we all thought he was overweight." Well, the fat kid just put in a great assist after busting his nose. So even though he's definitely not fat,
Definitely not fat. He's the fastest fat kid I've ever seen in my life. If that's the case, if he's a fat kid, this kid is in insane shape for being a fat kid.
Thanks. But yeah, so the majority of the game, USA had 58% of the possession, which is expected because Costa Rica, their only player to know was Anthony Walker, the goalkeeper that came in the second half. He plays out of Sporting Lisbon. I don't imagine him to be anywhere near the starting lineup, but there was that was literally the only player I could point. The rest of the guys are from like the Costa Rican team. I don't know the only team I know is Saprissa because that's the only team I see in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So I can't really tell you much else about anything else about that team, but clearly they got beat 3-0. I don't blame Piojo by any means. If anything, it's impressive that he got, that they didn't lose by more because the openings that they got were like clear.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think at the end of the day, like I said, what did we really learn even from this second game? Right? It's like I don't know. Like what did we learn besides, the fact that Brian White can finish a clear cut opportunity. Aguimangue is a freak of an athlete. Dude, his shot power is actually fucking insane. Like when you actually like just watch the goal back and look at it. I mean, it figures though, right? Because his leg is probably twice as long as any other leg around the field, right? So at the end of the day, like I hear you talk about these things, and I'm like, I still don't know if we learned enough, right, about these players.
Honestly, we haven't. But I mean, Brian White did score, like we mentioned, assisted by Diego Luna.
Yeah.
Caden Clark scores the banger, the one that I and Pochettino both missed because we were both in the restroom. Not the same place, not the same restroom. But it was
the same things, different things, but yes.
Assisted by Eneli, a head scratcher, by the way, that from 11 Yanks. 11 Yanks actually mentioned and Mickey Eneli that this was a head scratcher for him. Didn't really see where this came from, but he got an assist.
Yep.
And then Patrick Aigman scored another goal from DeJuan Jones. That's a name. That's all I gotta say about that.
DeJuan Jones? Is that what you're saying?
That's a name. Look,
yeah,
he's not bad. I'm not saying that he's not bad. I mean, if there's a player that I can see maybe get a shout and I think it's just because of how thin the fullback position is for the U.S. I mean, I think Brian Reynolds still is over him, but I think maybe DeJuan Jones can at least great assist. Maybe that's the takeaway for him. But I mean, there's certain position groups that isn't as deep as people think it is. I mean, in my opinion, goalkeeper is very much open for anybody to take over. Like Matt Turner's job is not as safe as people think it is. But I mean, like center backs, I think is another one that we need to have a real discussion about because, like I said, I just don't think we need to be seeing Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, and Tim Ream. I'd bring him in for the 2026 World Cup, but that's just for vibes only. If he's playing out there, especially at his age, I don't know. I don't know, man. I know he's repping the 30-plus-year-olds, but still.
Still, bro. Someone's got to hold it down for us, man. He's out there still doing it. Yeah, bro. With the Juan Jones piece, I actually do agree with you. So he's that Gold Cup fullback, right? If we're talking about a Gold Cup team, non-senior team, call it the B team, whatever. Yeah, bro, starter, 100% starter. He did start in the last Gold Cup, so like, it makes sense to me that he stands out in these types of camps. I don't know if he'll ever kind of be at the level of challenging for even a backup slot at the senior level. Again, I think it's just what we're waiting on, right? That's what we're waiting on for this camp to really seem like it's legitimate. Is that, these players that do stand out in this type of camp can start working their way towards being in conversations at a minimum with that senior team. And right now, it's not there yet, but there's some gems in here. I think, right? I'd be really curious to see how Luna progresses with the national team. That's something I'm going to keep an eye out for.
So, if the first question I'm going to ask you is, do we have depth from this camp? Which, I mean, obviously, once again, it's a lot of taking it with a grain of salt. But do you feel like there's depth in certain position groups just from seeing this camp, that maybe a fringe player that can maybe jump up in that the legitimate U.S. men's national team?
I think the one place I would look for depth in general, right? Because we need it at the senior national team. Well, two positions. You mentioned fullback, right? We all saw what happened to Sergio Dest the minute he goes out, right? We're nothing wrong with Joe Scally. A lot of USMNT fans didn't like that, but I think he is still a hell of a player in the Bundesliga. But again, right, depending on kind of what you want in this team, it does take a little drop off even from the starter to the second spot. That and striker, right? And I do think we have great strikers. Don't get me wrong. It's just that no one cemented that spot. Not Balogun, not Beppe. Like, it's just open. And I think that this camp should be used to see who can create competition in those areas. I like the finish from Brian White, right? I'm not saying that he gives us depth, right? But those are the battles that I'm looking for. But with all that said, based on this camp, man, I don't think we really have depth just yet in those two spots. I really don't. It's again, it's not to say that they can't ever challenge for that, but right now, would I be comfortable putting them in? And we don't have to worry about this right now, right? A World Cup qualifier, but would I be comfortable or confident putting them into an away match against Guatemala for actual 3 points, something that means something? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's a very difficult question with this team, and maybe it's just because we saw two games that they probably should have won anyway. So tougher competition. Maybe I have a different opinion, but right now I don't know how much I can pull away from this and say, yeah, we have depths in those two spots that we need it.
All right. Speaking of just players, like, who do you feel has earned more attention? Like, maybe they're the fringe guys that come in that the next legitimate camp, which obviously is I believe for Panama for the.
Yeah. Um, I think for those types of games, I still think Luna earned a lot of respect from Poch. I think he's probably going to be one of the clear favorites to keep getting looks, even with the senior team. I think he's someone against some of these CONCACAF nations you can not maybe start, but you can give him decent minutes, right? He comes off the bench, he with fresh legs, 30 plus minutes to go, still gets to again, link up with proper midfielders, right, to try and break down some of these other teams or these other nations. I'd be curious to see what that looks like. And I still think you can't rule out someone like we all, again, if you're an MLS fan, especially if you're a Minnesota fan, we all know about Caden Clark, right? I still think you have to be able to account for him a little bit because of his age, because of his experience. And dude, the wild card here moving forward, because the guy, again, basically the Greek freak for the U.S. men's national team, right? To an extent. I mean, just gives us something that we don't have anywhere else. And that's the thing. X Factor is a thing. It's a valuable thing in this game. Aguimeng just having that crazy versatility in terms of what his athleticism allows him to do. You never know, right? I mean, again, bro, we saw Greg Berhalter call up Jesus Ferreira. I mean, for a World Cup. At the end of the fucking day, like we may see one of these guys called up as like for meaningful matches as a wild card.
No, yeah, and I think argument. I think the one thing that I will say, and me and Edward have talked about it, is that and I mean, this isn't anything against Balogun and nothing against Pepe, but I feel like the U.S. has always been very good when you had a big body nine, and obviously Josie Altidore. I wouldn't say Clint Dempsey's a big dude, but I mean he's a physical presence nonetheless.
For sure.
Brian McBride. I mean, the guy was a statue. And so, I mean, I think like whenever you had this big body nine, and they were always productive. Josie Altidore was a very solid nine for the U.S. for a good amount of time. Obviously, unfortunately, his hamstrings didn't feel the same way. Um, but I think the U.S. like as and once again, maybe in Pepe in a Pochettino's system, maybe Pepe and Balogun benefit more being a quicker, sleeker forward. But I don't know, man. Sometimes just a big nine just seems, at one point I was hoping that Peacock was gonna be it because that dude is just massive. But
Yeah.
that was a reach.
I mean, you're 100% right about arguing, right? I think you're, and the big number nine is something that I think not a lot of fans think of as a utility player to just be able to call on the bench situationally, right? Look at recent tournaments on the international stage. I think back to like the Dutch quarterfinal, I think it was against Argentina. Granted, they lost in penalty kicks, but being able to call up who was it
Weghorst.
on the bench? Yeah, Veghorst, right? And just change the entire complexity of the game. Like, again, not someone that you probably go in there to start. You expect to really just bag goals left and right, but going up against tired legs, Argentine side that's been pushed tooth and nail, and then he's just a massive physical presence to deal with, right? You see on the club level, right? Barcelona a few years ago when they were down horrendous, having Luke de Jong to call up off the bench as just this option that we don't really have. Someone that's very tall, that can find the ball in the air, that can cross the ball into time and time again. And it's a mismatch almost always when you have guys like that. So they may not be the guys you rely upon heavily, but there's going to be those moments, right, where someone like that can come off the bench and just have a cult hero moment. So I don't mind it. Like I said, if we see more of him, especially at the next level with the senior side, not mad.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, you already mentioned it, Diego Luna. I think also, I think Jack McGlynn gets a fair shout. I think at least what he was able to provide in this camp. I think at least to get at least a little bit more attention, whether it's just from the scouting department or gets a call up. But I think there's going to be a little bit more attention with Jack McGlynn. We'll see how he pans out. And I mean, you mentioned Caden Clark, and I think. Um, since he came back to the MLS, it's all about trying to get him back, trying to get back, find his groove, and kind of similar like how you view Jordy Mihalovic. Hopefully that he can come back to the MLS, reform, and then maybe get another shot at Europe. Caden Clark, maybe I don't know what happened. I think RB Leipzig was maybe a little too big, too soon. Maybe Salzburg probably would have been the right place for him at least initially, kind of how Brendan Aronson did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think and Kenyon Clark's still very young. It's surprisingly if you haven't realized, but if you've been following his story, you'd think he's very much older, but he's actually still fairly young. And I think maybe same thing with him. Hopefully Montreal pans out a little bit better. I don't know what happened with Minnesota that he had to get traded, but Montreal, I'm hoping that it could be a good story for Kenyon Clark.
Yeah, I think so. I think he needs something, right? You mentioned like the Mihalovic story. It's not that these players aren't good enough to play in Europe. It's that, again, right? It has to be almost the right environment. How many times have we seen a player go to a certain environment? It's just, again, maybe they're in full rebuild. Maybe it's just toxic at its core, right? Whatever it may be, it may not be the right setting for them. So, coming back to a league like MLS, finding the confidence that you need to compete at another level, not a bad thing at all. And I think, again, even this move, right? Getting some reps with the national team, getting more of that confidence, because again, that's what caps will do for a player, right? Makes you feel like all the work you're putting at the club level is worth it, despite how Camp Cupcake is viewed. So yeah, man, I think that, again, he's someone that because we've talked about him for quite some time as a youngster, I expect to be more relevant in these conversations.
Yeah, and then before we get to MVP of Camp Cupcake, but I'm pretty sure it's very clear. But I mean, Mako Miljevic, like it's the elephant in the room.
Oh,
Is
God.
this the last time we're gonna see this guy, or has Poch developed a soft spot for him?
I don't know. I also don't know what the fuck he's doing here. But at the same time, right? Like, bro, just think about this for a second, right? A player who wasn't good enough for Montreal wasn't good enough for Montreal. Like, just let's be honest about it. Wasn't good enough for Montreal, but and again goes through all the bullshit that he went through, right? which to me is still crazy, right? Not only did he break the rules and sign up to play in another league under an alias, but then he was pat and punched somebody out. All of that. And then he misses the fucking PK. All of that to score a banger, towards the very end. And it was kind of that, a banger, in my opinion. It was a good take. The trap itself wasn't the best, but I still got a good hit on it. It went in. I don't think I'd be surprised if Potch calls him up again for anything outside of something like Camp Cupcake. I'll be honest. I don't know, man. It was a weird one. And maybe it was just, again, a low risk opportunity, considering that he has other citizenship, right? At the end of the day, this is part of Potch's job. He's gonna have to learn how to recruit dual nats, right? Make USMNT attractive to young and promising talents who have citizenship elsewhere. Maybe it's some of that. But if he never gets brought back into this, I mean, you're not gonna get any crying from me. So it was a weird one. It was a weird one.
I agree with that, and I also want to mention Brian Gutierrez. I don't know why I didn't mention him, but I think he had some good moments. I mean, he played both matches, so I think that's.
He's a good player, bro. If you're a Fire fan, I mean, you like bro, you like Guti, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he's someone that I think is the playmaker in Chicago. Depending on who else they want to acquire under Berhalter, but I'd be shocked if Berhalter doesn't try to like build this team around him, and we'll see how high up he goes, right? Who knows? Maybe he develops pretty quickly here, gets some shouts. Poch wants to bring him back in. You never know, but
I think
he's
his
still young.
versatility is really good, and I'm not. Look, I'm not saying Mexico was like trying to get him to come to the Mexican national team, but I think at least cap tying him at least benefits the U.S. in some sense. But
Yeah.
I think Guti has always been a standout to me from when I have watched Chicago Fire, and I even told Edward, I was like, hey, if you're gonna watch somebody from this Camp Cupcake, look at Brian Gutierrez, because I think the way he moves with the balls. If you had to tell somebody that this is an MLS player, I think they're going to be like, "Oh shit, really?" So
Yeah, I agree.
I think
And he fits the formation too, because that's the exact formation they play in Chicago. So like he knows what to do in that system. He could play across every one of those attacking mid positions. So yeah, I expect, like I said, this is just some of the things Poch is going to have to do. He's going to have to find a way to create more competition in the camp by calling up players that maybe there's a fear that they could get called up by another country, right? So just to keep the camp fresh, to keep it competitive, you still, even if you feel like there's a long shot that they make the senior team, you just got to keep recruiting him, right? Keep bringing him in, keep giving him a little bit of motivation to try and work their way up the national team ladder.
Yeah, I think so. All right, who is your MVP of Camp Cupcake?
Bro, I mean, who else, right? Who else is it going to be? Dallas, bring fucking Diego Luna to Dallas, to Toyota Stadium, 100%, man. Like we have to do this, man. There's rumors about Evander and whatnot, but I love Luna. I think that he's kind of, again, a misunderstood player from a lot of reasons or a lot of perspectives, right? And we talked about the Texas teams, but there's plenty of other teams around the league that didn't rate Luna until he started producing. And now, man, you could just see it. It's not just the fact that we know he has quality on the ball. We saw that all across the camp. If we didn't know about his mentality, now you know. Right? Now you know. Nothing phases him. This man just wants to win. And honestly, bro, like I feel like up to this point he has been disrespected on multiple levels. I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I think he got snubbed from the Olympic roster. Don't know what the hell happened there. Yeah, Diego Luna has. I think the best thing that he was able to do for himself was sign with El Paso Locomotive, get his opportunity, and then Real Salt Lake was just happened to be the team that gave him his shot. But and once again, I'm gonna shame the state of Texas that this kid was literally he's not from Texas. I know that, but he was playing in Texas at the time. A lot of people wrote him off once again because they thought he was fat. And I mean, this kid is a Barcelona residency academy product from Arizona, not from Barcelona, but. It's still, I mean, that academy has brought out a lot of good players into MLS. I mean, Caden Clark is another one, actually an example of another graduate from that academy. But yeah, I think you can't deny Diego Luna. And then, I mean, the fact that now Pochettino has full respect of that kid because he broke his nose. He said, "Don't take me out of this game just yet. Take me out at halftime, but let me play." And then goes out there, gets an assist. Should just tell you everything about this kid. As a matter of fact, I am starting this new award for the podcast. It was actually something that me and Edward were talking about before certain events happened. But this month's Robo Flores Dog of the Year, which is fitting because today is Robo's birthday, would have been Robo's birthday. So this year's Robo Flores' Dog of the Month is gonna be Diego Luna.
Shout out Robo, man. That's a hell of an award. I like that. And bro, yeah, do this. Like this monthly award, obviously to commemorate him. But bro, there's no better fitting person for the first one, right? Just the timing of it all. He deserves to get his flowers moving forward. Again, I will be shocked if he stays with Real Salt Lake long term. It may be the case for this season because they've lost Charango, right? And you just can't lose two major fucking pieces in the same offseason like that. But I still think that whether he moves on to a big market club in MLS or he gets his shot elsewhere, I think that Poch is going to, again, just keep him on the back of the mind, right? When you think about those fringe final spots in the roster on the senior side, who you feel is going to give you the most late in games when it really matters, I think Luna has the heart, and he's probably convinced him now.
Yep. So he is my MVP for Camp Cupcake, but he's also January's Dog of the Month. So.
Our boy Luna, I like that.
All right, Jose. Obviously, that's Camp Cupcake. I think if you could sum it up in general, like, does this version of Camp Cupcake, this year's edition of Camp Cupcake, has it proved its worth to you, or would you be one if we're back to next year? It's it's 2026. We're now 6 months away from the World Cup, and they don't announce a Camp Cupcake. Are you losing sleep?
Definitely not losing sleep if they don't announce it. I'll be honest, I barely lost sleep when they announced it this year. But like at the same time, I think looking ahead to future versions of this camp, I think if we see one of two improvements, right, one of them kind of being a lot bigger than the other for future camps, I'd be pretty happy. The not so big improvement would be to just schedule better competition. Right. And again, even if it ends up being U23s for more prominent nations, that's still valuable information to have, right? I'm willing to bet that at a technical level, that still pushes the players in these types of camps further. So again, something to think about for future camps. The other side would also be, right, we talked about before, trying to overhaul the idea of the players that we call into this camp, focusing on developing those young, promising prospects, especially the ones that we have to recruit who are dual nats. So that's probably, like I said, a much more forward-thinking one. But no, I mean, all in all, I think that this camp campaign wasn't bad. And it gave us some headlines that I think made fans pay attention to it more so than even some of the previous ones. Whether, again, it's Mako getting called up, if it's, Luna having big balls getting busted in the face, right? Aguimeng towering over literally everybody. There was a lot
taking a dump.
That too, bro. Like I said, man, there was stuff for everyone as part of this camp. But did we actually learn anything competitive outside of more than a small handful of players? No, but I think it's at the end of the day what we all expected.
Yeah, I think Camp Cupcake is a lot of taking it with a grain of salt, just in general. But I think it's funny enough because I mentioned Mexico, right? They had their own Camp Concha now. That's what we're gonna call it. They had their own similar thing. I mean, they didn't play. I don't know who they played for their second opponent.
I couldn't tell you.
But I know that Internacional was the other one, which I think they actually beat them handily, which they should. Or I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't the starters. I'm sure it was the reserve team of Internacional, but still, like, I mean, Mexico is also doing it the same thing. I mean, they had fringe players in there as well. Like, I mean, Efrain Alvarez, is he gonna get called up by the senior team? No. But I mean, same thing though. I think that there's other teams that kind of maybe, and I think also maybe because like Mexico has, I feel like a similar deal to provide also a match, a friendly in January, probably similar. Like, I mean, money is a thing.
Yeah.
But
true.
But yeah, no, nonetheless, but still, I think Camp Cupcake in a whole, it was cool. It was cool to see some of the players that you probably don't normally see. I kind of wish we got to see Freeze. I mean, I'm glad that we saw Schulte, and I mean, Zach Seven put in a good, solid shift, but I was hoping to see Freeze. I wasn't really hoping to see Zach Steffen. No offense to him, but
Yeah, and again, maybe it's just like, hey, that's the experience of that position coming into play, and like, okay, let's get him some reps, and maybe, again, right, giving someone a little bit of confidence and a boost to get back to the level we know he can be at, or at least where he once was. I don't know if he could be that again, but yeah, I mean, like I said, there's some players that stood out. I don't think Stefan was one of them. Freeze, it would have been cool to see, but I still think Schulte's absolutely clear. So again, maybe we would have just seen aspects of his game that might make us feel like there's more of a competition, but I feel like right now there really isn't one. NYCFC fans can hate me all they want for what I said, but I do think Schulte's clear. So yeah, I mean, again, we could have seen some more of some guys, but all in all, I don't think we still would have it would have dramatically changed our mind about this camp.
yeah, and I agree. But all right, Jose, thank you so much for coming in and talk about Camp Cupcake and a little bit of Camp Concha. Um, hey man, tell us what's going on with goals, man. Anything big that's happening? I know everybody's waiting for Unleashed to be unleashed.
Yeah. Yeah. Unleash the series with Eric Winalda. Yeah, bro. It's going to be a big one. We're excited for it. Got some teasers going out very, very soon. Next week, the week after, kind of going into February. So we've already recorded some content. I'm excited to get it out there and just kind of see. It won't be like an official first episode or anything, but it's going to be just content to give people an idea of what this show is going to be like, and obviously get some feedback rolling through because we do want to include the fans in how we craft this show, right? That's a big thing with goals in general. I think we want to go in a different direction from what other, former soccer legends are doing with their shows. Everyone's kind of doing a standard Talking Heads podcast. We kind of want to do something that felt different, that felt informative, and also allowed Eric to truly be himself. So I think, fans will get a taste of that starting as early as next week. It'll keep going for the next few weeks. And yeah, man, there'll be some other kind of teaser content that we'll put out for that. But outside of that, man, for anybody who's on GolzTV today, it's about to undergo a massive change finally. Brand new update coming to the entire platform in the next few weeks. So just stay tuned. I got Hector and some of your other favorite creators in the platform going to test it out for us here pretty soon. So fingers crossed, man. I think it's going to be just a much more positive experience for everybody around. So outside of that, if you support us, we appreciate it. A lot more content coming to the platform outside of some of the bigger names I just mentioned. So check us out. GolzTV, GOLZ.TV. And Hector, thanks again, bro.
Always, man, always.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, we're back. Hey, look, Edward's still here.
Hi.
So shout out to Jose, man. Hey, check out GolzTV, GOLZ.TV. Be on the lookout on some of the teasers that they have for Unleashed with Eric Winalda, the bad boy of U.S. soccer. That dude's got some stories. I can't wait for you guys to see what's going on over there with goals. But all right, man. Edward, Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing ticketing site. Me and Edward have used SeatGeek for plenty of our opportunities to watch some football here. As a matter of fact, we used SeatGeek to go see Inter Miami play Tigres. Unfortunately, Messi wasn't there. But we were there.
We were there.
It was still a fun game. The
Kids
Tigres
were
crowd,
there.
the Tigres crowd was phenomenal. I think that was the big takeaway. Just Tigres fans were just amazing.
Yeah.
I got a lot of compliments about my El Salvador jersey. So great stuff. But SeatGeek has a very simple app website, depending on how you use for all live events, whether it's sports, concerts, theaters, whatever it is. SeatGeek is definitely there for it. It has a very easy grading system. It uses colors. If it's red, that means those prices for those seats are not worth it. Keep searching. You'll find a great seat. If it's green, that means that is the best price for those seats. Go ahead and buy them and enjoy your event. We love the simplicity of SeatGeek here on It's Their Name FC. And if you guys need a little bit more to make you guys more excited about SeatGeek, well, for your first time using SeatGeek, you'll save yourself $20 off when you use the code BellyUpSports at checkout. So once again, for your first purchase at SeatGeek.com, use the code BellyUpSports and you'll save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, Edward, who's your player of the week?
All right, so my player of the week is I'm gonna go to the EPL, and I actually saw a bit of this game, and I was making fun of my friend Bert because he's a Chelsea fan. But my player of the week is Erling Haaland for Manchester City. For they scored 3 goals to Chelsea's 1 goal. Mind you, Manchester City started off a bit, wonky. They let the first goal in 3 minutes. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But they came back. And of course, Erling Haaland scored the second goal. And he actually did the assist to Phil Foden for the third goal. So, hey, the cyborg did it again.
Yeah, shout out for Erling Haaland, going and assist in that match. And my player of the week is Kylian Mbappe, who scores a hat trick in Real Madrid's 3-0 victory against Real Valladolid. Um, First hat trick as a Real Madrid player. I know one of them was a penalty, but still, first hat trick as a Madridista. So, nonetheless, a solid class for him. I like I said, man, I think Real Madrid is starting to find a groove. Mbappe is starting to find his form. So be ready. Hopefully, this doesn't bite me in the ass. We coming.
I mean, I'm hoping it don't bite me in the ass.
Yeah. Well, but all right. Thank you. Congratulations to Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe for being our players of the week. Make sure you guys use SeatGeek and use that code BellyUpSports at checkout for your first time, so you save $20 off that purchase. And games to watch this weekend, guys. We have some interesting matches this week across. Not the big game names in Europe, but also not in Europe at all. But we have Toluca versus Tigres in Mexico. This, I believe, is actually going to be Achiachi's debut. If you guys didn't know, Achiachi had to serve a 3-match suspension for spitting in the vicinity of a referee at that MLS Cup first round matchup against Seattle. So even though he left the MLS, he still had to serve that punishment. So I believe this will be Achiachi's debut for Toluca. So I'm not biased in any way. So
What? The Toluca fan and the Achi fan isn't biased in any way? What?
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, so I do like Toluca. I've said it plenty of times on the podcast, but I try not to have a Liga MX team, but I do have a soft spot for Toluca. So yes,
Ever
but
since Cardoso.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We also have Manchester City versus Arsenal uh in the English Women's Super League, so little Man City Arsenal matchup right there. So juicy game, women's football. You know, open your eyes, people. And we also have Ajax versus Feyenoord in the Netherlands. So that's gonna be. I hope Ajax is better than what they were last year. So, I mean, Feyenoord is also disgusting. Are we gonna see Santi Jimenez still? Because Santi Jimenez is rumored to go to AC Milan. Which, by the way,
Yep.
I love everyone that made fun of me for saying that Santi Jimenez was a name to keep an eye on for January. Someone, someone actually
Who
told
made
me.
fun of you
Someone actually told
for
me you're
that?
better off giving relationship advice, which is
Damn.
which is terrible because I have commitment issues. So
Yeah, that'd be horrible.
suck it, that guy. Um, or or or,
Suck it,
may, or,
that guy.
or maybe I'm wrong because they didn't sign him. So who knows?
I
We'll
mean, he
find.
might be in the vicinity of somebody else.
Yeah, so we'll see. In Ligue 1, we got Brest taking on PSG and Marseille versus Lyon. So some two good, juicy matches there. Remember, guys, Lyon is in a situation where they need to figure out their financials, because if not, then they are automatically getting relegated to League Two. So, so while they have to fix their finances, they also gotta stay competitive. So
Yep.
that's a weird. Is that what an oxymoron is? I never learned what oxymoron is. Yeah,
It's like a
or is
word
it a
that means the
paradox?
opposite of no, I think paradox is better.
Yeah, I think paradox. All right, Bundesliga, we got VfB Stuttgart taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Bayer Leverkusen taking on Hoffenheim. So, uh, Hoffenheim is actually a pretty competitive team in Bundesliga. Don't let the record tell you differently. Um, they seem to be a problem in the Bundesliga, specifically for Bayern Munich. But in the Serie A, we got AC Milan versus Inter Milan. So we have a Milan derby this weekend, Edward. So,
Yeah,
and we got
that's.
hmm? No,
No,
say
I
it.
was gonna say that puts a little, what you call it, little hair on my chest. You know what I mean? Like just
I mean,
worries.
Milan's definitely gonna want some payback for what happened in the Super Copa. So,
Yeah,
so we'll see how that goes. And then Roma taking on Napoli. So interesting matchup right there. Napoli obviously on top of the Serie A as it stands right now. So we'll see if Roma can bring him down a little bit. Also, by the way, for Christmas I got Edward a Paulo Dybala jersey. So
yep, he did. It's
because
awesome
maybe
because
if that guy ever goes to the MLS, maybe he'll finally get a jersey of an
MLS
MLS guy,
jersey.
an MLS jersey. Yeah, I
I mean,
don't
to be
know
fair,
anymore.
to
I thought Messi would do it. No, I thought
no,
Marco Ruiz would do it. No,
no.
so I have no
I
idea.
mean, it's just look, Messi jersey. I'm sticking with the Barcelona. If anything, the PSG as well. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's
But the
fair.
only, to be fair, the only MLS jersey I have is the one you did get me, the Dynamo one, the orange one.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did do that.
Yeah. So that's the only one I have.
That's the that's the. Oh yeah, that's right. I did give you that orange kit. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was like yeah, yeah. It was like what was it, 2019, 2020?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I remember that now. All
Still
right,
have it. Still have it.
nice,
Still
nice.
use it.
In La Liga, we got Osasuna taking on Real Sociedad. Um, just you know, like I said, I'm not always gonna mention the big names. But and then Real Betis, where Anthony now plays, taking on Atletico Bilbao. So might be an interesting matchup right there. Real Betis is also an interesting team. So
Yeah,
and
they're like that dark horse team where they're like, yeah, they may not be like all the way up top all the time, but whenever they play like a big name, it's like they give them the heart. They give them a
he,
run for their money.
when
They
they
either win or they tie. I don't know. It's so
when they
weird.
announced Anthony to Real Betis, someone immediately started trolling like a little cartoon, and it was like, "Oh, be ready for the real goat," and it was like him doing the people's
Oh yeah,
eyebrow from. Bro, do you think he's ever gonna like ever move on from that?
I don't think so.
That was one of by far the most hilarious things ever. Which, if you guys don't know, I believe it was Arsenal versus Manchester United. He was getting subbed into the game, and he had like the weirdest face, like as if it
He
was
was
like
supposedly he was like I think he was supposed to be like ready for the game, I guess you could say, but it was just kind of awkward.
yeah, it was like a weird fear factor thing that he was trying to. I don't have no idea.
Yeah,
It clearly it didn't work. But I don't even
right.
remember the result of that game, to be honest. But anyways, and then the final league, the English Premier League, we got AFC Bournemouth, who is currently on a winning streak, taking on Liverpool.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what to say, but it's gonna be a good one. I mean, Bournemouth has been really fun to watch this year. And then we got I mentioned the English Women's Super League having Manchester City versus Arsenal. Well, guess what? Arsenal versus Manchester City. So we are in the second half of the jersey bet because we're not doing the singing bet anymore between me, Edward, and Spencer. So just so you guys remember, the jersey bet is we have a table amongst each other. It's just English Premier League and La Liga because those are the two big ones for this podcast specifically as far as fandom goes. Um, Edward likes Manchester United and Barcelona. I like Arsenal and Real Madrid, and Spencer likes Man City and Atletico Madrid. So yeah, so we're kicking off the second half, and as it stands right now, Edward is in first place, and
Yay.
and me and Spencer aren't that far away, so which is good, which makes things a little bit more competitive. But yeah, the
It
winner,
does.
the winner of the person that finished on top, you know, loser has to give him a jersey. So that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So last place has to give first place a jersey. So that's it. So, you know. And if you guys are curious as to why we're moving on from the singing bed, it's mainly because YouTube and it's copyright, you know.
Right.
Can't have that. So
Ah, as
yeah.
fun as it was and as horrible as my voice sounded, you know, I'll miss it.
You singing Cocaine Blues has to be
Oh
just one of
man.
those like
And it was a spur of the moment thing too.
it was so funny just because like I'm sure people were like hearing that and just
They're
I don't
like,
know how
what is he
I
on?
don't
They're
know
like,
how
what is he on?
I don't know how I feel about this ending. So,
I was contemplating whether doing the Johnny Cash, which I did, or the Joaquin Phoenix version, the one from the movie Walk the Line, because I feel like that one has
which
a
is
little bit more
essentially
oomph.
the version that he did end up singing was the version that Joaquin Phoenix sang in that cocaine because the I think like the recorded version of Cocaine Blues is
Oh,
like
that's right, that's right.
very
Yeah.
slow, but the live version of because that was the whole
Oh yeah.
the scene is
That
from
was the
him
whole
doing
point.
the
Yeah.
scene in Folsom Prison. So
Oh yeah.
was it Folsom Prison or
Was I
San Quentin?
dreaming? Yeah. It's Folsom. It was
Well,
Folsom.
it was Folsom Prison they
Wait,
performed this.
was it Folsom? Yeah, yeah, it was Folsom.
But yeah, anyways. But yeah, so I know those aren't all the matches that are playing this weekend, but if you guys need a good beginner's guide, I think I gave you some good matches to watch this weekend, especially if you're trying to get into this game. But all right, we're gonna take a break and then we'll go ahead and wrap this show up in a pretty little bow for you.
Fight and win!
All right, guys. First off, I want to thank Jose for coming on. Always a pleasure to have him and talk football whenever we get a chance. But check out BellyUpSports.com. Like I said, there's a lot of articles being written. You'll see this podcast kind of like a blog post as well. So if you guys want to see that and maybe see how we're growing Belly Up Sports because a lot of things are changing at Belly Up, and so make sure you guys be on the know. Follow them on Instagram and the X at BellyUpSports. That's how you can find them. And also, Jose Tez, he was on this episode. He is the creator of GolzTV, so follow him on Instagram at golz.tv. Well, GolzTV. Follow them at golz.tv, goals.tv on Instagram, and on the X, goals_TV, GOLZ_TV. Check out goals.tv, man. It is a great site to see original content, hear about the beautiful game, and also internationally. But yeah, lots of great stuff going on Goals, man. Be on the lookout. There's some big things that are happening there at Goals as well. You might see me there as well, so be on the lookout. And of course, shout out to Roosevelt Spencer, the namesake of the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award. So we love him so much. He takes great care of us. That's why we named the award after him because he is that special to the podcast. So yeah, man, that's all I got, man. Thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week for episode 204, where I think we'll be recapping the Champions League because the league stage will be officially over. So we'll go ahead and recap that for you guys. So yeah, so I can't wait, man. Thanks so much for listening. Catch us next week. Take care, guys.
Who is that guy?